And he usually did.
Yeah, he did.
It's been a long time since we've seen him here, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been like 3 years now.
Say, I don't know who you're talking about.
See?
Doug Elliott was his-
No,
I met him once.
Yeah, I don't remember him being here.
Oh,
Been
really?
here since 2012, I don't know who he is.
Alright.
Landfill, we got another grant. This grant is for our hazmat building.
Talked about that. Everybody did. Everybody talked about that.
Did he?
She.
She? I didn't know which buddy you were talking about, Alicia.
No.
I know Jennifer. We don't have Jennifer anymore, we just have Alicia.
Well, she's taking credit for it.
Well, that's fine. Whoever gets credit, there was no match, so it's fully funded, so we're pouring a new slab and, gonna upgrade our hazmat building where we store all our chemicals in that, and, move it down by the electrical building.
What kind of chemicals do you store?
Paint and any.
Stored until they're picked up.
Yeah,
not
well, we
stored.
deliver them.
Right,
But
but not
it's-
stored.
it's not-
permanently.
We don't bury anything.
No, but it's not like chemical.
Collecting
You just spray
space.
weeds or
No.
something.
It's a collection building, and then we take it up to Cedar Rapids to the center of like.
Household hazardous waste, isn't it?
Yep.
What would they do with it?
I don't know.
Don't ask, don't tell. But they are right next to a river.
They have a super fancy building too, so.
They send
I don't know if it got like incinerated or what they do with it.
No idea.
I don't know. I assume they have a bigger collection point where they recycle it, and somebody comes in and gets it, so. I can find out if you'd like.
No, it's just, wonder what, dangerous chemicals, how do they?
I thought they did something with heat with it, with an incinerator type thing and dried
Well, I
the
imagine it's
buckets out.
Different,
Well, yeah,
different things probably are handled differently.
You can't even throw away good when the hands let them dry out.
it's the right kind of paint.
What's the wrong kind?
Probably oil based. Latex is okay if it's dried out. I went to my favorite mental health meeting yesterday. It was,
6 hours?
no, it wasn't. It was less than an hour, so there. I know, because we've had all the hiring committee things and that, so. We hired a new temporary CEO. Her name is Marilyn Austin. Well, I know, yes, the auditor just looked at me like, oh my God.
Well, that would be a good permanent one too, but.
I know, she's, so the other girl doesn't start till the 24th, and
Oh.
Michelle's last day is Monday.
So Maryland's gonna run it for 3 weeks or whatever.
Yeah, I gotta get it past you guys, but I told them it would probably be okay, so Jessica has to quit frowning at me. She's like,
What,
she's going on the payroll.
did you ask her about the aging thing?
Yeah, she doesn't have time. Cause
Well,
now
she
she's
gets
the
this out of the
CEO.
3 weeks.
And she's dealing with her mother-in-law, so she just doesn't have time right now. So, that's bad news. The good news is, yeah, she's gonna take over, and then the other good news is, the candidate we picked and offered the job to was May Hinchman, I don't know, Hingtgen. She needs to buy a vowel. Super nice, I think she's gonna be a real good asset. She was the community director of social services in Cherokee from 95 to 2006. And she's been the county director there, and she's been in Dubuque schools the last several years, with behavioral and learning support, so she's kind enough to speak on the children's mental health, and then she ran the adult over there in Cherokee County, so she's on top of everything, so she's gonna be a good asset, I think.
Will she live in Dubuque then, or will she move?
She's gonna office out of Dubuque, so she's on their
That's
payroll,
their area, yeah.
yeah. So,
But the meetings will still be in Cedar Rapids.
yep, yeah, we're not moving that. So, that'll be a good thing, but I'm sure you'll see her, because she's gonna come down and introduce herself, and so yeah, it went good. We had a little going away, get together from Michelle afterwards, so.
She just done doing it, or they actually moving away?
She just retired.
Becky, the meeting yesterday, even with the presentation, done by 2:30.
Really? Wow, that's a lot faster too.
Christy, you know Christy Clark,
Yeah,
she's in Cedar Rapids too, or Lynn County. She's going out on her own. She's got a nail business or whatever, glamour nails, or, she did my nail yesterday, so.
I wonder how soon that was gonna.
I think I just keep my hand in my pocket.
Yeah,
for me.
They were giving me a hard time yesterday.
We'll try not to take it personal.
She's from Victor. She was a
No, she's from Millersburg.
She told me Victor. She's not claiming Millersburg either. Nobody likes Millersburg.
Well, she graduated from English Valley.
Well, she told me Victor, so I don't know.
Her sister and her folks live in Victor now.
Okay. So,
Actually, she's related to Michelle,
is she? Well, there you go.
because her great-grandmother.
She was a grim. Well, they were giving me the meeting. They didn't think I was brave enough to wear my nail, but I
Yeah,
am.
your toenails done?
No. She had this new magnetic eyeliner, so I don't know if you guys know this. There's a magnetic eyeliner. She should, yeah, see, I'm up to speed now.
You should be moving.
God,
Up
she
to speed on that.
Thank God she didn't have any with her, because she was the one to do my eyelashes, and I'm like, oh. And, so apparently you put this eyeliner on, it's magnetic, and then the eyelashes are magnetic, and they So, I wanted some hair up here, but.
How many eyelashes does that take?
You didn't have any of that, so that's a lot of eyelashes. And you get a mohawk, I guess, one row down the center. So, there you have it. That's all my fun and adventures yesterday in mental health.
Here's some right out. All there.
Yeah.
Right here.
I'm still visiting Spicer Cemetery. I provided now about my GPS, there's a big tower out there.
Yes. Did you get down the dirt road?
Huh? I'm afraid to take my car down there. I've been riding down there with other people.
It's fine if it's dry.
Yeah, with the rain a couple days ago,
Yeah.
they keep saying, oh, you'll probably make it.
Yeah.
Probably. Anytime they put that word probably in, yeah.
Probably,
It's a long ways back in there.
pull me out. Well, after getting stuck in the mud on a Class B road in Iowa, learning about Class B roads,
It's probably a bad,
yeah.
it's probably a bad idea.
Yeah, get pulled backwards by the steel cable, I'm kind of avoiding that. But we've got a guy out that we met with, a couple of us from Cemetery Commission, we're getting an estimate to redo some fencing. He'd done part of it last, couple, 3 years ago, and to do the rest of it. And he should be getting his estimate pretty soon. We're trying to finish some projects, or at least get estimates before the winter weather, so we can get out there and do that. Yesterday I was at HACAP, Hawkeye Area Community Action Program. A very interesting organization. I'm gradually learning more and more about it. There's so much involved. There's about a $35 million budget. And, they say 21.5 million of it's grants, but that's really, I don't really consider it to be grants. A lot of it's from federal programs like Head Start they get, so forth. I don't see it as grant, but they're making a lot of progress. They're doing more and more all the time. There's now 19 food pantries, 3 new ones, and their food pantry warehouse is stored or distributed 9 million pounds of food in the last 11 months to the food pantries, the backpack programs, things like that. And one thing they're doing is they're going to have a scanner type of thing where they're able to do better inventory control and implement that. So they are, when you add it all up, sponsoring, providing scholarships through Head Start for about 700 students, early Head Start and later Head Start. So it's a very active thing. They seem to be pretty sound financially, and just like it's about it.
Do you have anything for music on?
Talked about Indian Creek watershed for a while, which is really interesting.
Indian Creek watershed?
Yeah. It affects us so much.
Is there water run down in?
Yeah, they haven't talked about anything they've done either. But they have one.
Okay.
I talked to, I don't know if I should get the Moultons or not, but a while back we gave hotel Moulton money to the county fair. And upgrade the water system like 2 years ago, still not done. I don't know. So, I don't know if it's okay with you that I interject in your committee on that, with the contract. Okay. It needs to be, because part of the deal was, he's supposed to have it done, there's a timeframe on the first year he did it.
Right.
That's why some of the other guys, I talked to some of the other guys that are, we get hired because it was a timeline. He got it and never got it done.
Right.
And he will, actually, I called him twice now, and he'll call me back.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, it's, so I'm just using title as, not happy about this being there, or not being there.
Anything else? All right, open forum. Jody,
Good morning.
you're back as promised.
I'm back as promised, yes. So I just wanted to report in on the small committee or citizen committee that we had talked about and I had mentioned last week. Jim Johnson and myself worked and met with John and Kevin this week and handed over our request to them. And I just want to give a little background on the citizen committee. It was Dale Foss, Sherry Shafo, Jim Johnson, and myself. We felt like it was, a wide, group, like I said last week, of, everybody's got different interests in different part of Iowa County. We made different efforts between Facebook, email, phone, and we also met in person. And we talked about, we kind of narrowed it down to a few points that I think we were looking at the most. And we came back this Monday and met and talking with Dale. Dale wanted to grandfather in the rest of the easements that are signed. And Jim and I just could not agree with that. One is I don't feel it's our place to go into grandfathering them in. I'm not even for sure if there's 100, 200, 300. I see a lot of easements out there on the Iowa County site, but I don't understand all of them, so I don't believe that was our place. So this is where the citizen committee, Dale, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't want to go any further since we were not going to grandfather the other ones in. So, and Sherry Shafo as well backed the grandfathering of the other easements in. This is where the citizen committee went from 4 to 2. So that's where Jim Johnson and I sat down and we looked through what the previous drafted ordinance was. And we feel that we gave it our best effort to compromise with what the supervisors were looking at. And we did give that to John and Kevin, and if they want to hand that to the other supervisors, that's fine. But that is an agreement that we had talked to them about, that as far as going into detail of what we requested, we are not going to do that. That's something we were leaving with the supervisors. So we did our citizen committee of 2, we handed over our request, and we hope that looking at the items in there, I guarantee it's not going to make everyone happy in Iowa County, because we knew that from the get-go. It probably didn't hit on every point, that you guys have heard about. I probably haven't heard about all the points even. But I feel like we took a really strong effort to compromise, and that was one of, the stipulations that when I said I wanted to put this group together, it was a group that wanted an ordinance and also wanted to compromise. And the way I look at a compromise is if, Billy Bob has signed up for 10 turbines and next door neighbor Sally doesn't want to see any, maybe Billy Bob gets 7 and Sally doesn't have to see 3 of them. That's a compromise to me. It's a negotiation. It's kind of a agreement. So that's where, like I said, the committee of 4 would not go that route since we stopped at the grandfather clause and went back to the committee of 2. We handed that information over. We hope that, you guys move forward with the draft, in a timely manner. But I also, like I said to John and Kevin when we met with them this week, I really hope we draft an ordinance that you guys want to vote yes on, that we want for the county. Any questions?
I appreciate the meeting. I thought you guys put a lot of thought into it, and you tried to do your best, which, that's about all you can do. Yes, Dale.
Yeah, take a few exceptions with it about, not just, my position wasn't just the or just the grandfather clause. And then about no compromise, I think I'm the only one that offered a compromise. It was, you told me that the half mile and the 2 miles, you didn't wanna move off of, and it wasn't negotiable, and that's when we kinda,
No, we didn't say that.
well, I'll get Sherry, but that's my understanding when we walked away, because I even brought up about how much land it would knock out in a half mile. I didn't know it was going to a or 2-person committee when we walked out the door. I thought we were disbanding, and I think Sherry will think the same. But the compromise I offered was, grandfather the others in, and we would look at a moratorium. I didn't see any compromise on you guys off the half mile and the 2 miles. I asked you several times, and you said those were your sets. And that was my understanding when I walked out. I'll ask Sherry, because we went over that several times, and I wanted to go with the existing ordinance, the one in May. I just made up a quick, and it's a rough draft, it's not much, but if you went to the half mile, now if the half mile is not what you're gonna recommend, I'm not gonna save my time doing this. Is the half miles what you discussed with them?
What we discussed is between the 2-person committee and the board of supervisors. And I do not believe that we were set on the half mile. You were going back to look at the 2,000-foot setback to see if that would work. Sherry said she thought the original drafted ordinance was fair, and that's where we were going to negotiate. There was no negotiation because you wanted to grandfather in the rest of the easements signed. I don't feel that was an area that we could, so we can do a lot of this he said,
Yeah,
she said.
I guess.
I didn't wanna record anything, Sherry and I laughed and talked about that. We did not feel we needed to record our sessions and.
I feel like we're in, a little disagreement there. I
Sure.
do. And so I'm just gonna hand these to you. There's some copies. All I did was I took Pilot Township, and I picked out, I divided each section. Each section, or each township has 36 sections under the norm. In that 36 sections, there's 460 acre plots. So if you take those 4 plots and divide it up, it's 144 total. I took 19 that would be, not signing up. And then all I did was take the half mile, and I didn't use protractor, so there's some room for error on that. But I just turned around and showed how many it affects, and it affects another 50 sections, I believe. 50 sections that people couldn't get. They wouldn't be able to get windmills or anything at all if you do the half mile. So, and that's without the 600 or 800 neighbor agreement too. That's just the half mile from the residents. I just picked sections at random, and if there was 1 house or 2 houses, it's, like I say, it's not exact, but to me, that knocks out, 69, I think, 69 of the 144 sections. And I didn't go to any outside parameters because I didn't want to show another township, so that may have made more or less, I don't know. But it takes away all property rights. The half mile is gonna kill it, 2,000 feet, I still contend is gonna kill it. And I understand maybe that's what they want, but as far as protecting property rights, I think you're really encroaching on it hard if you, I think we gotta be under the 2,000 foot. And I tried to look at my contract on the way over, and I didn't for sure, and I don't remember if Mid-American, I was under the assumption when they came to us as landowners, it was 1,000 foot. And then their norm is, their agreements are 1,200, Iowa County, they came to them in good faith, went to 15, and it's still not enough. And I think we need to stay with the existing ordinance. That's where I'm at.
We started out with 1.1 times tower height, is what they first recommended, and then they moved out to the 15 and 16.
To you guys, okay, yeah,
Right.
yeah. And that I don't know, for some reason, it could have just been verbal, I always thought it was 1,000 foot, but that may be
That's pretty
incorrect,
close.
yeah, so. That's all I have.
Can I ask you, is the pink or red area, that's,
Red areas are the people that wouldn't want them, I just picked them at random, 19 red areas, and then that's what it,
represent their property?
yeah, their property, and then that's what it affects around it.
Green, if you take in the green as well, it's the
Yeah.
whole area.
Now, you start taking and putting 10-acre sections in there that don't want it, and look what it does. It just compounds it tremendously. I mean, it would. I didn't do that. I tried to say they were 160 acre owners, but if you took, 160 to 144, 160s in there. And 19 of them is what I took out, and then it affected another 50 approximately. And think I'm really conservative on what I showed you there.
So you said your thought is that for people to own less property, then there's gonna be those 2 mile radiuses, or half mile radiuses everywhere, it's gonna block out.
Yeah, it'll be more, that's what I assume, and,
Thank you.
that's all I have.
All right. Anyone else have anything for open forum? We appreciate your effort.
Thank you.
For people that have been in the middle of this from the beginning, realize that there is no middle ground really. Because there's just two, and I shouldn't say two, there's about 100 different mindsets out there. I mean, because we get all kinds of requests
And in the end, like I
and
said,
comments, I should say comments.
it's up to you guys.
Anybody else have anything for open forum? Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dale.
Thank you.
Jody, Jim. You guys have any other comments on it, or? No?
John and I are talking our negotiating points, and so it's being discussed.
I just hope that you do put in the 3-mile setback for the English River when you're trying to do the other ordinance. Also, there were 300 easements. We brought you a petition of over 1,000 signatures. That's basically 28%. So please keep in mind that there are a lot of other people involved. It's not just Victor and Millersburg and Williamsburg and Marengo. There's a whole other section of the county that you guys continually ignore.
How have we ever ignored that part of the county? We put
Did
more
you
into
even
roads.
know about all the animals that go through the English River watershed? Really? What about the Holbrook Church? Did you even put any setbacks for that? That's on the historical places.
I probably have as many relatives buried in
I
this
do know
cemetery as
that.
anybody.
I do know that. So did you get your easement taken away? Is that why you're participating in the?
Did I get my easement taken away?
Well, no, are they not putting it up, using your easement anymore? For your wind turbines?
It's still in place.
Okay,
But it wouldn't matter if they did. I would have to divorce my wife too, and that'd be kind of excessive.
well, I understand that, but I just wondered why, I thought you weren't supposed to,
Participate in conversation,
Yeah.
discussion.
It's a form, and I'm just asking questions to try and clarify.
well, every county, I know that there's people buried in that cemetery from every county over in Ireland. I do know that. And I'm not Irish.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Are you done? I'm sorry, I wasn't cutting you off, but
That's totally fine. I'm used to it.
anyone else? All right, Nick.
Good morning. I don't believe there's anything on the agenda. As far as our construction projects, the bridge on 107th, they came in and set the beams this week. They were hoping to start decking today. I don't think that's gonna happen. It'll take them about a week to deck. So they don't like to do a bridge pour on Friday, but they were gonna do it on Thursday. Now with the weather, I'm not so sure, but the beams are set. It'll take a week to deck. They still have 25 working days, which is a little over a month. So they'll be somewhere around that line. They're going. The bridge down by Awesome's Corner, the dirt work is going a little slow, but you know, if we have good weather, I think they're looking at like a week till that gets open. So the weather today probably pushed it back 3-4 days, but they're still ahead of schedule on that. So I think we're looking at like a week and a half there. Hopefully we get that open. The road maintenance guys, I know that Tim and Dee is up north trying to ditch/narrow up some roads up there on 110th. That farm to market eats a lot of rock up there, so we're trying to scoop a little bit of the road and kind of narrow it up, take off the shoulders. And then we're doing some ditching west of Williamsburg too. And Mooch is still edge running. You know, we do that quite a bit. We'll have to go over M Avenue again after the concrete patching, but we do it all the time there. So, and then our guys, we did 3 patches this week up on the Swisher Road, concrete patches. So that ride's pretty good. They did a really good job. As far as the office goes, still doing billable hours for FEMA. She's gonna come back for another meeting next Wednesday, but I think we're getting her everything that she wants. At 52, I have not heard back from Pelling. I'm sure they'll come back in. The concrete patching, they are in go mode, so they've been really going. I had one person calling yesterday, you know, why did I not text them that there was gonna be work on the road? Again, this is just patching, they're in and out. We don't send out text messages for that, so. I think the Solutions is working on Facebook page, some sort of, something like that, right? It's not around yet, but, so in the future, we will post things on there like, hey, essentially what I tell you guys, people that aren't here, they don't get the paper. Hey, over the next 2 weeks, there will be patching on these 2 roads. I don't know where or what day they'll be where or what it's dependent, but we're not there yet. We are working with Mortensen. So our patching was on F52 and M Avenue. They also trying to be proactive, maybe doing some patching now while Iowa Civil is around on H Avenue. And so we are working to maybe a cost share with that. So I think that'll be good if we can get that worked out. So like I said, we did have a windmill meeting. Also been doing some utility inspections. We're gonna buy a grapple bucket. That's exciting, more toys. And then also with the rain day today, we are having a couple people come in and
For the unloader?
no, the grapple bucket will be for the skid loader. So after we take the forestry head out and make a big mess, they can use that to help kind of clean it up. I have not, I think where we want a root grapple that's got 10-inch spacings in the bottom. We don't want a rock one with real narrow. About time we get into a ditch and everything else.
You
But
gotta be getting there.
yeah, but I also, so I've got that all spec'd out and been out and everything else, but and the higher ups that, you know, oh yeah, this, wow, I'm gonna ask a few more people that may run it, just to make sure we don't have any hard feelings, so. Once, what we're gonna get, but
There's, okay, I don't know if this is the time to say this, but I've had questions before that we used to open all our bids up here in the office, that we should probably do more of that. When you send out for bids, people were questioning, not necessarily, I'm not gonna say what the department, but the bids were. People were getting slighted.
we can,
And if it needs to expedite things, we can come in, a couple of us can come in immediately and expedite it,
I open up bids like once a day.
but you understand kinda? But,
Yeah.
I send out bids for rock, I send out bids for stockpile rock, we do gravel buckets, there's a lot of,
Well, I know.
we do bids for the right-of-way, surveying, send in quotes for soil borings.
Just a concern that we want to make mention. Like even the fuel bids and stuff like that, fuel bids and fall rock or spring rock,
We do those here, yeah.
but you don't open them here. Usually just bring it with the.
We have, we didn't this year, we used to.
Yeah, I mean, if you want them to be opened here,
I'm just worried about, you know, I'm not saying anything bad is happening, but I wanna stop it from.
well, we can,
Cause you're not.
we can do that, but then also just to get, if you ask for like, okay, well, what's this mean, or how much is this gonna cost, I don't have any of that ready. So I mean, I can open it in front of you, but then that'll delay it an extra week before we can get the okay, if you wanna know hard and fast numbers.
John, do you understand?
Yeah. There's some stuff is more like quotes rather than bids you get.
Right, that's where,
Quote's different than bid.
and, you know, what exactly,
We put a dollar amount on it?
Yeah. What exactly is a bid?
yeah.
I'm not trying to tie your hands, but that's, I mean, it's something.
Well, if it's
comes up.
come through the mail, they don't have any time, they don't have any way of changing their bid anyway.
No, but it comes to the point that he got somebody's bid one day, he can call the other guy and say, hey, this is what it is.
Ah, I don't think you're doing that.
And
Why
No,
not?
this isn't directed toward.
No, I'm not saying it is, but somebody precedes it can happen.
No, I know what you mean.
It's for another point too.
I,
And I can't pick and choose which department it sends to.
if that's what you want,
Let's think about this and see if
I think
we can
we
make
can
it.
take it up under advisement and see, set maybe a limit, you know, cause,
Maybe the road committee could meet with you and discuss how.
yeah, cause we don't wanna micromanage.
Because, no, and we don't wanna delay everything a
Yeah,
week just
that's
because.
not-
Is that you and John? Are we the road committee?
Yeah. We are,
You guys are?
Yep.
Alright, why don't they meet with you and you guys can discuss this in your office and figure out,
I mean, yeah.
give you a better perspective of it.
I don't have a problem with
I,
where you're coming from, I just see problems in the logistics from.
Right.
So like equipment, like even you go buy an end loader and stuff, we should,
And I believe you guys are usually in on the larger equipment.
but I mean, usually it's presented to us, you never have, they're not open in front of us.
Right.
I think that's somebody's concern.
Right, no, I usually have the bids due Thursday at 3 or Wednesday at 3. And then I
you
am
got a
able
date
to
in.
put together the spreadsheet and review.
Which are great, nothing about that, it's just, I'm just.
Because, so let's just say if we were to do truck bids, and then we would open them up here Friday morning, well, we wouldn't accept anything that Friday, because then we would have to take another week to go through it.
But if
Now,
we-
that's not necessarily a problem with equipment, because we're not on a timeline.
But we could come in like on a Thursday, that we could still make a spreadsheet.
Sure,
Right?
sure.
obviously.
I spoke for you.
To trying to see if the bid is
Yeah,
comparable,
nothing
if
else
they're,
going on.
if they're pitching the
I'm
same
just-
thing. That's-
Waiting for
I'm
bids to
just,
come in.
I'm just throwing it out there, you might have to come over a lot of Thursdays.
That's all right with me, if they do.
I have mental health on the last Thursday of the month, so.
Me too. How that
Yeah.
works.
The fourth Thursday of the month, they're both out.
Well, what if you guys meet with Nick and
Yes.
discuss
Yeah.
on where you think this needs to go?
Put him in the closet and, I don't know.
As soon as, you come over as soon as they let you out of your home.
I mean, never.
We all know that sometimes that's Timothy never.
So,
Okay, so,
and then, I guess I'll be back at 11:15.
11.
11,
11.
yeah, move down.
moved it up.
Okay. Last week also, Mortensen did put down 500 tons of rock. They really don't have anybody on the ground today, they got rained out. They will also put down a little rock, they have, they're gonna do a nice favor for 1/90th, we are hauling out there today. They are gonna put a little bit of rock down on there, even though that is out of their jurisdiction, they have not been on that road, so.
Is that what I called on? The neighbor said Mortensen's driving around a lot,
Ooh, pickups or trucks?
trucks.
And a source from Martinson says that the person that called in, you know, is a frequent, calls a lot, and he's been sitting out there a lot, and he hasn't seen anything yet. They're not supposed to be on that road, he wouldn't know why they would go down that road, because it's actually better to go faster to go the other way. I know that we've been hauling rock out in that area, so, anyway,
I'm just repeating.
he's gonna throw down some rock for us, just in
Okay.
case. He says, I have not seen anything or done anything, and I've waited a lot, but I will be friendly, so. And then also,
210, I was on 210th and I think L last night. They're both, one spot on 210th is soft, but it's not any soft. I mean, they're in good, I was impressed with what good shape they were in.
and last week L was a little touch and go. L was a little touch and go, but they did haul, you know, how many times out there, and we did have a lot of rain, you know, so that they,
I was surprised the condition they were in, I guess. How good they were. What do you think? You drive them every year?
Can your Volkswagen get
You never
through?
get stuck yet,
For a
have you?
Volkswagen can get through, we're in good shape. This has got no tires. So,
You do a test vehicle.
did my guy show up?
huh?
Did my guy show up yesterday?
Yes. They got the windshield figured out. Get that bug off there.
Really? Cool. That's awesome.
Mortensen said that they would handle it, it happens once a job or so.
Yeah.
From the looks of it, it'll be a cheap fix, so.
Okay.
One scratch, and now that the bug is gone.
Awesome.
So, yeah, the thing there is filled out, I will get that over to them. Actually, I don't think I did. Gosh, I had one more thing. You guys must have seen the paperwork I did encounter.
A deer on the way home?
What did the deadly
Like 10
animals-
minutes after you left here?
No, it was actually the Thursday morning. I
Oh,
forgot
you forgot
to
to
tell
tell
last
us.
week.
Oh! So,
Yes, yes, I noticed the one.
we all,
Did you tag it?
I am pretty good.
No, I put a tag on the deer.
It came out and I slammed on the brakes and that thing went flying that
Actually, if
way.
they're hitting a deer, you should have smashed up worse than that.
Right, right. So then I was heading out that way later, and I was I don't know if I was with Vinny or going up the bridge, like, here's where I hit the deer. Well, there was a dead duck on the side of the road.
So, put in the paper, the county engineer's killing all sorts of wildlife.
It's like, you hit a duck.
You can't tell the difference between a duck and a deer.
Secondary
But
road,
it's a really big duck.
That would explain the lack of damage.
secondary roads is uncontrollable.
No, with this rain, we just, I guess for the week, we've been hauling a lot of rock. We've been doing a really good job of hauling that, and I think that it'll mush in before the winter, no problem.
Is mush in an engineering term?
Mm-hmm.
It is checking on that.
It's technical.
Isn't much.
Hit it above my head, so I thought, well, that must be an engineering term.
Everything goes above my head.
I will be back at 11.
Thanks.
Okay. Next week I'm on at 9, and then 2, no, we got that pushed back, so, okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Nick. So you're from the domestic violence? Would you guys like to go early, so you don't have to sit here?
She said yes.
I saw her face while you were still processing the questions. Well, that's great.
I thought you were singing that song, she said yes, I didn't know.
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Do you have the copy of the proclamation?
Yeah.
Yeah, she does.
We do.
So do you have any comments?
Yes. So the Domestic Violence Intervention Program, which is hubbed out of Johnson County, serves so many different counties around us, Iowa County being one of them. We just celebrated our 40th anniversary, which is exciting. But more importantly, we're having more and more people know who we are. Because it's difficult to know about a domestic violence program. We work in the shadows for the most
I was
part.
gonna say, it's one of those things people don't like to talk about.
And they don't like to talk about it. So we are starting to see more and more diverse faces, more and more faces from rural communities, recognizing us, knowing who we are, and supporting us and being a part of our community. Not in terms of Johnson County, but in terms of the bigger community of supporting victims. And Iowa County is one of those spaces. Because of course what we feel is that any victim is too many victims. And so while we have served 38 victims specifically in Iowa County, our numbers have gone up in terms of serving rural communities. So we're somewhere over 500 at this point in the last year. And that's a huge victory. It's a huge victory. And we couldn't do that without the support of the local governments and the local community leaders who have made sure that our information is out there and that people have safe spaces in which to get that information. I know that you guys don't need to listen to me talk a whole bunch. I'm, by the way, Delaney Dixon, I'm the Assistant Executive Director with the agency, and I've been there for about 20 years. And then my cohort, Alma Burrish, is the Iowa County advocate. She too has been there about 20 years, so we've been partners in this movement, but she's going to talk a little bit about what's happening here in Iowa County.
Dave will have some handouts of what happened last year. We got a rural grant, which is more specific, so I've been doing Iowa County since just July. And so I've been in and out, some of you possibly have seen me, a couple of years ago, as transitions are made, I've been in and out. Very familiar with Iowa County. I have a son and daughter-in-law who've lived here for a long time, and I have a grandson who just graduated from Williamsburg and went to Iowa State, which is really hard on me.
You say what's half good, he graduated from
That's right. And Ty's a good kid.
And so, and I, my old horse trainer happened to be Milt Gogger, which some of you might, know, and he was married to Judy Fremmel. And so, so the shearers and everything from Amana have been very close friends. So I've really been a part of the Iowa County community off and on for probably 50 some years. but now more, since July of 8th, that's when I started doing this. I've had 14 victims here, with, and most of them children. I've been over to your courthouse 11 times. I've only been, this is the second time I've been in this building, but I can tell you I've been there, a lot across the street. I work, I think, very well with your law enforcement. Your law enforcement does a really good job, both on the local and the sheriff, the county-wide basis. The Department of Human Services, you're looking after the hospital, at least here. Just about anything, and your churches and social service providers have had a really good relationship with collaborating services. We've offered everything from housing to help with utility bills, the legal system, the judicial system, when the Department of Human Services is involved, in other words, whatever the victim is needed, we're confidential, we're free, and offer counseling. There is group offered too, so about anything that they might need to support them through a really tough time, it's made available for them. I probably, right now, and I quickly looked, I came in a little bit early to see, and right now I'm ongoing with 5 clients quite a few times because they've been mandated by either your judicial system or the Department of Human Services. So we're there to provide those services. We could not do it without the financial support that y'all and the ethical and moral support that y'all give us. Because these are our constituents here in this county. And for me, the toughest part is always the kids. They have no choice. So we've got to help these families to have as many good choices as possible and try to kind of return their life to normal.
And keep them here if they want to stay. I think people have there's a myth that to address the issue, you have to leave your home, you have to leave your family, you have to leave your community, and we want to do whatever's safest for the family that's suffering. But ultimately, if it's to come home and it's to be home, we want to help them stay home.
And it's big that, I think, that you're there through the judicial and court system, so people have a friend.
Yes. So to be a support.
Let's face it, that's a scary thing. It's nice. I know they feel more comfortable because someone can help shepherd them through it that knows the ropes, and it's not such a scary world.
The tough part is the amount, the increase that we hear about of strangulation and also tasers being used. Now, who's not going to acquiesce if they're faced with either? And victims oftentimes don't want to come forward and talk to law enforcement because they fear arrest and they fear their kids are going to be taken away from them. So we really try working whatever way we can to help them be as safe as possible and get more services and, talk to more people that can help them. So we're there to help, and like I said, I really appreciate what this community has given towards that, and hopefully continue to give and look at the seriousness of it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the proclamation declaring
Second.
October Domestic Violence Awareness Month? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And that last night, Waynesburg had parent teachers conferences, and Susan Valletta from Johnson County Public Health was there. She had a table set up, and then Prelude Behavioral had a table set up, and they had all different things on display where kids hide drugs or different ways that they do things at home.
Yes.
Pockets in their tennis shoes where they could, so I thought it was cool. That might be something that you could have something to add,
Oh, absolutely.
because then
They did the conferences different last night. They just did it
in the
gym
gym.
with the teachers all around the concourse.
So kind of like a fair.
Yeah, rather than going to
Yeah, so
separate
they were all
rooms.
spread out up above and then down below, and then right inside the entrance door, Prelude was off to the left with their set display shows things how kids can hide their vaping or even regular smoking with the smoke box and homemade smoke boxes.
Yeah, that would be an excellent opportunity to get them.
Yeah, because then you could have something where somebody could get the information
Without it being on the radar.
Right.
Yep, absolutely.
Are they gonna do such a thing again in the fall then too? I mean, did you?
I don't know.
Well, it's
It was-
a- it's a
it
trial,
They could do it a couple
was-
times
It was a
year.
trial.
Yeah, they do conferences.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
So was it
Williamsburg High School.
the high school, we can
Yeah.
follow up with them?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a great idea.
I just thought it was interesting that, and there was a lot of people checking out everything out, so I thought it was good.
Yeah, that's a great idea,
So
thank
that's
you.
a good way to get
But
out.
your one comment that, people are afraid of losing their children, if they come forward, that
That's always.
is huge. I know that's huge.
Yes, it is.
That's usually the biggest concern is, but I don't want to lose my kids.
Right.
I don't want him or to get my kids.
Right.
And the social stigma.
And I did it.
It's a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
And it's hard for law enforcement to convince them that, well, that's not where this should be headed, so you gotta kind of keep that out of your mind, because obviously we don't see that
Right.
in law enforcement.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Do you want a copy of this? that I
Yes,
signed?
you do.
We'll take a 5-minute break. Aaron mentally prepared.
Thanks.
And now that I'm ahead of Aaron, you can have a full hour.
Wow. Oh, I won't need that.
50 minutes?
Hopefully not.
10?
Maybe a little longer.
Then we're in good shape.
If ruins High Susan's Day,
Then we can talk about the city and then,
not here for that.
well, nobody ever jumps you about something being bad in town, do they?
Never. Good. It's beautiful.
Everything's great since you took over.
Yep. We made Williamsburg great again.
That's his campaign motto.
You need hats, they have hats that say that in Lador, or it says make Lador.
I'm still waiting for my Go for Lumpy t-shirt.
I sent it to you. That should be coming out pretty soon. I sent it to you. November 1.
His new campaign is underway.
I look all over that on the ballot, they can't find Lumpy anywhere, this Aaron guy.
I wouldn't vote for
I
it.
remember the first time he goes, was it, I think when you applied, you were Aaron, it's Aaron.
You have any new people running for council?
No,
Just, it's the 2 or 3 that are up?
3, yeah.
Okay.
So somebody asked me, well, what come Bruce Adams?
I forgot.
Board of Supervisors, he can't.
Probably not. Would be a good idea.
I don't.
That's all right.
It's okay. See you on Saturday.
I assume
Hmm?
I assume I have that.
Dude, isn't it great that Ray's back, you don't have to deal with me anymore?
Yeah. That's why I told her, I said, he leaves and everything goes to hell.
Jesus, like this all the time?
Yeah. No, I was talking to you, and I had to talk to him.
So yesterday, I had to go to the Easy Cop meeting, and I ran home for a shower, and then I was coming back, and get down, right when we get on the highway, there's 3 cop cars lined up, like, who do they got trapped now?
I'm waiting for you.
They usually don't go that far out to catch someone. I didn't look to the east, the car upside down.
Oh, there was.
Yeah. He tried to turn the corner, it's going a little too fast.
From looks of it, way too fast.
Oh, God, way too fast. I don't know, is there any skid marks on the highway even?
I don't think so.
I'm done.
The road's not bad.
How are you?
I'm fantastic.
That's awesome to hear.
Hey, if you get a chance to call Gary later today, Historic,
Oh.
call him. He had that accident this morning and he's all stressed out about it. And it was literally, I should send you guys the pictures, I mean, it's,
I will. I'll call him.
but he's stressed.
I'll call him.
Because he had a little finger under?
Yeah, and I mean,
Well, he
there's,
knew.
yeah, but there's, I mean, to our vehicle, there's one scratch that's about this long, you can't even hardly notice it.
You You've already got it turned into insurance? You should-
Yes, I have.
That's got the thing from the company.
Yep. How bad's the other vehicle?
Well, everything's plastic now. All it did is our bumper cut their bumper, and it pulled their bumper off or loose. So it looks bad, but it's not. If it had been a 78 LTD, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
The bus would be total. I had a 76 old. It's a really good first vehicle, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
That thing was indestructible.
Yeah.
We know you tried.
Yes, we did. I didn't know you could get it airborne, but we did.
Did the cushion you were sitting on the block?
It went up with me, came back down. And that's why you tape blocks on it. Duct tape on the accelerator and brakes. But it was saying.
Like I said, the driver's, you saw, is that still, you keep your driver's license ever to keep that for memento?
I didn't. It was not that
Maybe
big
can't
campus.
for a memento. Hell, it's still on there.
So yeah, last night, apparently there was a scavenger hunt during parent teachers conferences. Yeah. So I had all these excited girls running up to me, because you had to find somebody over 18, under 5 foot. I said I need Mickey Mouse ears that said 5'2", 5'2".
Did they pick that just for you or what?
Yeah, I know, right? Because then they had one that you had to find a guy over 6'6". So,
Piper wasn't there.
well, Josie McLean's running around with them, and I looked at her and I'm like, your dad? And she's like, no, he's 6'8". And I said, it's over 6'6".
Wow. Math class isn't working out for her.
I know.
Evaluate that whole program.
So just so you know, county employees are the long and the short of it. I'm like, well, your kids are running up to me like, hey, I'll tell her you. I'm like, who? Oh. I said, this is the first time in my life I've ever been over the height requirement.
So shoes on?
Listen.
All right, Aaron. Call me back
Trying
to
to follow
order.
that up, Aaron.
I can't.
The minutes will show that John is 5'2", not 5'1".
We did have a pretty stressful month on the budget for the vehicle repairs. You can see the miles on these things, how we're racking them up. I mean, there wasn't anything really major. Probably that bus 214, it's got, well, it's over 265 now. The fuel line was rusted out, that was probably the most major thing we had this month. The brand new bus, just shy of 18,000, had put new tires on there, and they just put good gears on, and they just, last. Those handcuffs we put on that last set, they had over 60,000 miles on those. That they really, they're a little more pricey, but man, you can tell they're worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's almost $1,000 to outfit a bus with all the tires, but, like I said, the 18,000 miles, they put new tires on that one, so. Expenses and revenues. One thing I'll note on the revenues is that, our FTA payment from ECOG, if we look at the orders in that number there, so that's why it looks high. They don't send that out until after you turn in your reports for the last fiscal year, so we have accrued for it in this fiscal year, but that's why the revenue looks higher than what, we haven't actually made that much money.
You're telling us you're not doing that good.
Not that good. It looks good, but.
Seems kind of bad when it's a guy scold you for making too much money.
Well, I know, but I see their point, if you're doing well, then you shouldn't have to suffer money. Work comp accidents, we had the sheriff's office started to get his finger bit. I don't know if you guys saw the accident down there at Arnold, where you're going on the curve, but the person that was in the accident was, I don't know, combative, ended up biting him on the finger. after I sent this out, we had the one down at the health department.
Yeah.
The gal got the needle stick, so we need to work on
Has
this.
he come back to you on a time that we can
No.
meet at? Cause that's,
No,
needs to be pretty quick,
yeah,
cause I'm not
I'll
ready.
follow up with him on Monday if I don't hear anything.
Yeah,
from him,
that
because-
meeting needs to happen next week.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him, I thought I'd give him a weekend.
Well, somebody jerks or something and then it happens.
Say, get with the cow.
You know,
But it did not go smoothly the other night, let's just say that. The
yeah.
process did not work like it was supposed to. The employee was there for like 2.5 hours.
His email didn't act like that.
You're right.
And I'm like,
He
bleh.
didn't act like that, didn't act like he wanted to meet about it.
Right,
Yeah,
so,
but it didn't go smoothly. And
Yeah.
I think he knows that we're talking about it, but,
yeah, cause that's unacceptable.
yeah.
Well, he did acknowledge it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did acknowledge it.
Right.
So,
I know, but we just
need to either work it out or figure
do
it out.
something different.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
and it's like, we're looking out for our employees' best
Yeah,
interest here, is what we're doing.
it's kind of a big deal when a nurse gets stuck. I mean,
Yeah.
we gotta, it's now,
Yep, yep.
so,
Hearing test.
He's fit too.
well, I'm telling the deputies, they can bite back.
We got the hearing test done for this year, Dr. Dunn did those for us, and it went pretty well. He'll be following up with the employees individually if they need anything further, and he did that last time, that's one of the things St. Luke's never did.
Right.
They never followed up?
They never followed up with the employee if there was a noticeable,
Just tell you, you can't hear me
Change.
one.
so, that's one nice thing about Dr. Dunn, is he actually works with the employee one-on-one, if he sees anything that he thinks needs to be addressed, so.
Okay.
And then the important thing there is those, the employees, it needs to go in the personnel file. And I told all their bosses, if your employee's tested, you're responsible. I'm not holding everybody's records. That goes in the employee's file.
Right.
So,
And it should.
yeah. Preschool update, when I sent this, we had 93. I signed one up yesterday, we're up to 94. I've got one waiting, and the kid's aunt called me Monday, I think. And so he's down at the daycare down by Parnell, and she sent the form in like a month after the due date.
Right.
I think it was like 2 weeks ago, and I just said, that vehicle's full.
Yeah.
And so she calls in and says, well, what can, he has to get on. I said, I can't do anything for you right now. I said, I told your sister that, we're waiting on this new bus, and when it shows up,
We be good.
well, she wanted to know who she could call to expedite this bus. I don't think anybody, I don't think they're gonna care. I mean, if we're in the line, I mean, it's just, it is what it
I
is.
think it'd be pretty hard to find somebody that would, expedite a bus for you.
Yeah,
We can't even get an expedited ambulance.
Yeah, even us writing the check can't do that.
no.
So then what do you do with, you send it for one, or will you divide some of these up to make another route, is that what you're saying?
So, right now, we run 4 preschool routes at night
Right.
every day. So the one that is in Williamsburg, we have that minivan that we bought with the mental health money, and it's only got 4 seats in it.
And it comes down to timing also. 'cause you
Yeah,
can't get
there's
it
30
one
minutes
way.
in between the noon and run, and,
Yeah.
that's all there is from morning preschool to afternoon,
Right.
it's 30 minutes. So we're trying, and we're even running a precedent with the in-town bus to
Right.
get everybody picked up. and
I get it,
dropped off.
yeah.
And so, we've got 2 out by Iowa Lake, and we got 2 in Parnell.
That's a big, just drive.
Yeah. So,
I mean, you can't speed those up.
no, and that vehicle doesn't have any more seats in it.
Right.
So, and I told her, I said, if a kid's sick or something, but,
You can't.
yeah, we can't say,
Touch that.
Yeah.
yeah. So I said, I told your sister after the first of the year, and I can't guarantee it, that's the ETA they're giving me, but I said, I'm hoping by the time we come back after Christmas break, we'll have that bus and it'll be in service, but I can't guarantee it.
Sure.
And I told her, as soon as we get it, I'll contact you and we'll help you out. And she said, well, I don't think he's gonna be able to go to preschool if you can't get him. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's not,
I
it's
mean,
unfortunate, but that's
we
not.
work on a first come, first served basis.
So they were one of the last applicants or
That was
something.
like the 15th of September when
Yeah,
she started
sorry,
it.
Bill.
And
Yeah, it's
the
30
deadline's
days late.
The 15th of August is
Yeah.
the deadline, so. And we have them coming in after the deadline, but,
Sure.
we tell them it's gonna take us a week to get all the paperwork process and everything. Our deadline is noon on Wednesday, to start on Monday the next week.
Right.
So,
Well, you know, the preschool thing is great, a great thing that we do, but I know it's a logistic nightmare for you.
it's an absolute mess. Last year we did 11,800 rides for preschool kids.
It's a lot.
I know it does make a difference when some kids being in my preschool or not, but I know it's, I appreciate the work you put into it, 'cause I know
Well,
it's.
it is, it's the worst thing we have, but I mean, it's a service, and I mean, it's a third of our rides that we get.
It's valuable, I mean,
It
to the
is.
community, so,
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
We do the best we can with what we have, and hopefully we will be able to help this gal out after the first of the year. Just in case you hear, it's not like we're ignoring it,
No.
we're doing what we can.
We know you're not gonna let a paying right person go.
No,
You don't have
not
to.
at all, not at all. So the dog meeting, we had that, the first Thursday of this month, it was down in Washington this time. I sent you these attachments, that Brock had sent, so you can see the bus, where everything is at. Of course, provider would be Iowa County, that would be us, so we have the 2 buses on order, 211's replacement, 213's replacement, and they should be here, the last he said, sometime late December. 214 will be the next one, and 215 is also on the list, and he's saying we'll probably order those in April again. So we'll have to budget for a couple more buses, next year. The interesting thing is so if you look off to the side, you can see the points totals. It's like that minivan that we've been having issues with ever since it was new, when we put the new engine in. Just in the last quarter, we jumped that thing up, over 21 points in a quarter. I mean, that's a lot. And that's based on miles and based on age. So you get a point a month, and then you get a point for every 3,000 miles, so you can see how many
Yeah.
points we've jumped there. The other providers get ticked off because we jump so many of them every time we have a meeting, but we drive more than anybody.
We're fine with that.
Yeah, we just drive. You know, Johnson County, they never leave the county, and Lynn County, but we're going to, I mean, today, we're probably going to Iowa City 6 times.
Yeah.
You know, yesterday we went to Cedar Rapids 4 times.
It's not like you can cheat.
No, no.
I don't think Washington gets some of your rides.
You know, their county's a little bit bigger, but they are probably the biggest provider per capita in the state.
Yeah.
It's like, the ride numbers is phenomenal.
Yeah, it is. They used to have a great big, day hab facility down there, and, they do a lot of transportation for them. And they're not affiliated with the county. I always thought that was crazy for their county not to pick that up, you know?
It's just a standalone thing.
Yeah, they're a 501c3. Yeah. Yeah. And that's why they get most of the funding. So if you move on to the assistance page, so the money that I turned in last year at budget time, I think, was saying we were gonna get like 172,000, and now it's projected to be 206. Because after we turn in our formulas for what we did last year, then they actually figure out what they're actually gonna give you. Everything we get by budget time is an estimate, but we kind of exceeded what they thought last year. Even with being closed 10 days, I thought it was gonna be down. But he said the problem is everybody else around the state was down too because, of the weather. So, I mean, it'll be an extra $34,000 in revenue for us this year. Yeah, that just, the ride count. And then it kind of shows you the cost per ride. I know it's hard to see because do you have it in color?
Yeah.
I put it in mine in black and white, so it's hard to see which one is which. But, we've been fairly consistent over the years. No big sharps up or down, we've just been on a gradual increase, which I think is pretty good. Nothing, you can see like Lynn County and
Jeez, yeah.
Jones County, I mean, they really plateaued and dropped. But we've just been on a consistent rise. I don't know that we're gonna continue to rise. I mean, I don't know how many more rides we could actually do.
Yeah, it's kind of a day that
You
we've
just-
maxed out their
yeah.
system.
Yeah. But, it's got the total counts for the last 9 years at the bottom there. So you can kind of see consistently where we've been over the last 10 years. Things have trended up though for us, I think, and that's what you want to see. The other thing from the TOG meeting, so this year, Region 10 was audited. Thank God, they went to Benton County, not Iowa County. They didn't find anything really out of line. There was some stickers that the vehicles didn't have. We didn't have ethanol.
I was gonna say, was it the ethanol sticker?
Yeah, the
That's
ethanol stickers.
mandatory?
Yeah, and I thought, you know, they send out this thing when you buy a new vehicle, that here's the graphic package that it has to, I mean, it's
And it
no
matches.
smoking, it has to have, you know. Why this is not included in that, to have a provider when they get a graphic, put that on there, I will not
Most
know.
vehicles that are supposed to have that on don't have it anymore, it's
Yeah.
kind of gone away.
Well, I ordered them from Prison Industries, so,
Well, the stickers.
Good thing we have for the members.
yeah, they're like
They
a
are
dollar
reasonable,
six.
yeah, they're reasonable.
$1.06. I got 25 of them, so we're set for quite a while. The other thing was our vehicle maintenance policy. They want you going with the standard for what the manufacturer says. And so we've been spending some extra money on this oil that we run in these vehicles. It's a greener oil, you can run longer, the manufacturer recommends 10,000 miles, and that's what we've been doing. And I told Brock that, I said, well, if they ever come in, they're gonna see that I change oil every 10,000 miles. And he said, we may have to change the maintenance policy to reflect that.
Yeah,
It's not a big deal, but we should change it.
sure.
So, that was really, that was kind of the gist of the audit. Nothing, they didn't find anything major, it was just, like Brock said, they're gonna come out, they're gonna find something. They got, you know, they're gonna nitpick on something.
That's their job.
That's their job.
They're prove themselves.
Yep.
Like the flags in the.
I was gonna say, as you said, flags and skylights in the jail.
Yeah, it's gonna be something. So, after the talk meeting, we went down and met with the university about their transportation
And?
issues. We talked a little bit, they were very, very busy. There's two things I took out of that meeting. One is we'd have to take credit card over the phone, and two is we'd have to buy our own wheelchair. Those are the two main things that we probably don't have in place right now. So what happens is most of these transportations that they're trying to arrange for people is they'll come in from a nursing home facility by ambulance, and then they have no way to get them home. And their wheelchair is not there, it's probably at the nursing home. So that's why they need somebody that can transport them. So when he asked me what our rate was, and I told him, he goes, you will be very busy if you want to be. Because they're getting charged like almost $5 a mile to take these people.
I know, right.
It's astronomical. In fact, the next day he called at like 2:30 in the afternoon on Friday, wanted to know if we could run somebody to Donaldson, Iowa.
What?
Yeah, I said, yeah, not at 2:30 on Friday. I mean,
Gary would have done it.
he was already working.
Oh.
So I think how we left it for now is, if there's a university pay, they're gonna call us. If they don't need the wheelchair provided for right now, they're gonna call us.
Okay.
And we're gonna try it out and see how it works.
Yeah.
If we can direct bill the university, and if we don't have to provide the chair, for now, I said, you know, this fall we'll try a few, if it goes good.
What's the chair cost? Are they gonna give you a discount?
You have to have a big one, don't you?
Well,
Have to
that's the other
have-
thing.
They're gonna have to have.
Well, I thought maybe the university could hook us up with a
chair.
chair.
No,
At least.
I think they've hooked a lot of people up with chairs.
No, I don't mean,
Not
but we
voluntary.
buy it, but at their cost.
Yeah,
Walking out the door.
Yeah.
we can get one.
I don't want to steal a chair for a guy.
You're right, talking $500. I mean, it's not the end of the
Not a
world.
huge expense.
Right,
I mean, you would make it back in this.
yeah,
With
pretty
that.
short arc.
Yeah, so, but we'll see how it goes this fall.
Okay.
So, we got the drug and alcohol policy for secondary roads.
Yes.
So once again, the federal motor carrier is, changing this, drug and alcohol clearinghouse. And basically, the gist of the clearinghouse is, I think what they're having issues with is, let's just say you have a driver that's from, Utah, and he
Right.
This is gonna be a national database, so you can't skip the system. That's what the federal carrier is trying to do. So this thing prompted us to look at our drug testing policy, which was way out of date.
Yeah.
And she recommended, the gal from CJ Cooper, who does all of our drug testing administration for us, recommended that we revise it. This one here is 12 pages long. I think the old one was 66.
Yeah.
This is much more simplified and it's up to date. I think it just makes good sense. These are the people that we pay to watch over this stuff for us. But, I think that it's probably just so you know.
I'm just enjoying the names of all the drugs. So.
Well, we have no choice but to have it.
Right. That's the way I see it.
And we're gonna have one, we want a current one.
I also agree with that.
And the testing is done,
Nothing changes.
random testing, it doesn't.
Nothing changes as far as anything that we've been doing. It's just, everybody's information will be uploaded into this clearinghouse now.
They're cheaper than a test.
Yeah.
They're cheap.
So what do we want to do?
Second.
Move the second to approve the
Second.
revised drug and alcohol.
Oh, sorry about that, that's.
And this is just for people with a CDL that do a CDL.
This is all, yeah, so this will apply to all the CDL drivers and secondary roads. My guys are FTA, so they fall under different,
Right.
something different. And then if anybody at the lake, and we
Yes.
used to have guys out at the lake
Right.
that had CDLs, Chris said nobody has it right now.
Right.
But if those guys do, then they would fall under this policy as well. But as of right now, this would just apply to secondary roads.
Okay.
If conservation gets a CDL driver, they would probably just want to adopt this same policy, change it to
Themselves.
their policy, and I assume their board would have to approve that.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, any further discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
So the EAP program, I don't know if you guys know, a couple Friday nights ago, we had that, there was a bad accident down in the treaty, and, we had an ambulance call, trying to get somebody down to, the university,
Yes.
and
The hostile ambulance.
the hospital.
Yes.
And so the, obviously, police are for one minute, I'm taking the guy out of the vehicle at gunpoint, it's, I mean, it was a pretty traumatic event for the ambulance group.
Yes.
So it stimulated the conversation about an employee assistance program. I think if we, whatever we do going forward, we should implement something for, I mean, at some point, we're gonna have something, you know, with our sheriff deputies being involved with crashes and accidents.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Potential shootings or whatever, and the same with our ambulance crew. I think we should have some kind of a policy on an employee assistance if something happens at work,
Yes.
not just,
Yep.
I think our insurance has things for personal, you know, our health insurance plan does, but I think for something at work, we should have an employee assistance
Counseling or
program.
some kind of.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right now, is it just some time off, basically? But they have to use book.
I don't know if we've dealt with it in my tenure, Bruce. This is the first time I remember it coming up for something.
Did he go back
to work?
Uh,
Does he go back?
I don't think so. He's part-time.
I heard he's taking a month off.
Yeah, I think he's taking a month
Be nice to
off.
talk to him.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
part-time,
nice.
so it doesn't.
Our new radio system worked out well that night with
Yeah,
being able to talk to Johnson and everybody involved at the same time.
Such a weird deal still.
yeah.
Bad.
Well,
I just think
it
whatever
comes
we
back
do
to some
going
mental
forward-
health issues that weren't addressed,
Yeah.
that they track, you know. It's a long saga, but yeah.
So if you guys are okay with it, I think however we move forward with the designated care facility.
Well, I think we should look, yeah, I mean, get a process started.
Yeah.
I know for like officer-involved shootings, I have no stigma, I mean, but there are people, oh, I don't want my neighbors seeing me going into XYZ counseling, they're gonna think I'm nuts and what have I done, and
Sure.
like, yeah, okay.
Yep, yeah, I think we can figure something out, that's
Yeah,
all.
I do too.
Disagree with that, so. Okay, we'll work on that. Last thing you got, we will have to make a budget amendment this year, both for revenues and expenses because of a few things, so, I presume that you'll be wanting something like
Yeah,
that.
don't worry.
Okay. Any questions? Anything I know we haven't talked about a lot today, but.
So is that thing with the university to go, they can just start calling you and follow?
So, yeah, so right now, that's how we left it, was if it's a deal where we don't have to take a credit card over the phone, if the university's gonna pay it,
They can start calling you
they
anytime.
can call us at any time, yeah. And we just emailed with them last week and sent them kind of the information that we would need to transport the person. I will say this, if it turns into something like he's saying, it would probably take one full-time person just to handle those calls and do all that, and then it'd take a couple of part-time guys just to do that,
Sure.
you know, throughout the week, where I was thinking, one guy do it 3 days a week, one guy do it 2 days a week, or something like that. It's just something to think about. At this point,
If you got the revenue coming in,
yeah, they cover it, yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, I think we got that under control for him for maintenance and everything on, you know.
I'll keep you posted.
well, yeah. If you're doing it right, you're kind of dipping your toe. in the
Yeah, we
water
just wanna
and
see how it goes.
seeing, and after the first one, you may say, yep, this isn't for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you might say, like, this is like printing money.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd say
Let me
that.
know if it's like that way, right?
Well, I just know that he knows if you're like printing money, you don't need that.
Yes, that's why I'm asking.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you. Have a good weekend.
Let me know on that other end.
Yeah, will do.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Poor scheduling on your part, right?
No, we got other stuff to do, and then we're right on schedule.
Okay.
We're scheduling on my part.
Our 10:30's done. It's the chairman's fault. It's his agenda.
Is Scott not coming in, or?
No, we're delaying,
Okay, you're just delaying it till next week?
Next week.
probably next week, he wanted to do some more follow-up on something, and I said, that's fine, let's just not get carried away. We're coming too early, so, we have liquor licensing?
We have a new 5-day license.
Is that our favorite professional
Private bartender.
private bartender?
Well, that's it,
It's on 212.
it's out at,
Barnett 212,
Yeah.
GMA and 212.
it's a venue out there. For Austin's having his wedding.
Yeah. Motion to approve.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So does that mean they'll be writing my personal bartender a big check someday?
Great. Just can't believe we're approving drinking in a barn, but.
Never done.
With approval. Okay, appointment of county director to Heritage on Area AG.
I came up empty.
And that means what? You have to take it.
Second.
You can't.
Anybody have any interest in taking this, at least for the first? Well, it'd just be till into June apparently then.
Did they say what day they meet?
Invite-
No, I don't know, I was thinking about that before, I didn't, is it the daytime? Or is it at night?
I thought this was.
Is it during the day, I thought?
I didn't see, but I thought it was kind of negotiable.
Well, you wanna try it? I'm gonna say Millersburg has always been one of our best areas for agency on, or,
I know.
I thought you were gonna say on aging.
The rest of the county's not meeting.
we've had,
Oh, yeah.
but, you know, several years ago, we had a lot of people from the Millersburg, North English area that were
Very active,
very
like I
active
know.
in this. I mean,
Do you wanna continue the streak? the second and the first.
You wanna try it?
Yeah, but I don't know if I can go in October.
That's all right. And you guys just card about the open house in October?
Where's that at?
That's an evening one, oh, that one.
Yeah, but that's just like an open house.
I,
It's last year.
Literally, you got
I will-
something on.
There's paperwork that goes with this.
Woohoo!
there's what?
Paperwork that goes with it.
Did you like that cheese? Quick, motion.
Do you have a telephone number, Jess?
I've got a
Whole,
I got posters.
for new cars, it looks like.
No, for the Heritage, they were here last week.
Well, I got one
Any
of those.
discussion?
Well, come on, did you get the grocery list?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Vicky.
Did it hurt when the bus ran over you?
Did you notice how quickly to oppose? You didn't get us.
I have never charged for mileage, you know.
Well,
You did.
join the club.
Set canvas date for 2019 Acwood election. When is the election?
The election is next Tuesday.
You have a lot of people running?
No. One for one. One opening, one running. So we could do it on Monday, October 7th in the afternoon, or we could do it anytime Tuesday, October 8th.
This will be, what, a 30-second meeting?
21 seconds.
Yeah. Okay.
Depends on what time you do it on the on the 7th.
Just do it the 8th in the morning.
Okay, that would
Maybe
work
I'll
better
kill-
for me.
Yeah, it's
Like
better
what
than
time?
killing it.
What time?
Killing- I came up with a day, you guys come up with the time, 9.
Do you want to do 9?
Yeah, that's right.
9, or you want to do 8:30, or?
We can't make it.
Jesse said.
Doesn't matter if I make it or not, we gotta.
We just need, Jessica
I got
said,
that committee.
we're on time.
Okay, so we're gonna do it on
The 8th
the 8th.
at 9 o'clock. Okay. Okay.
Put it in my calendar, so I don't ask you about it later.
That is my birthday week.
You have a birthday.
I think I should have read that.
Yeah, I have a birthday week.
What is up with that? I didn't get a birthday week.
Why not? Huh?
October's filling up fast.
I,
That's what it's considered. Rare.
Wish it was a, yeah.
In my calendar. It's in mine. The day before you're on my birthday.
I know that's a big day for you.
It is.
Approved quote for social services computer.
I sent that to you guys this morning. She wasn't sure if it needed to be brought to the board or not. I think it's a little more than what she has budgeted in her line item, but overall, the mental health budget has always been okay.
Flexible.
If nothing else, you know, we have that $426,000 in special projects money that maybe we
That's a
can,
bad big computer.
we can,
Well, Maryland's salary is gonna be going up here for a month, so,
but that will be paid by their.
yeah, we'll be reimbursed.
Right.
So we just have to, but it'll be,
Because the contract we have with her is old,
no, I know.
so we should probably
Update.
look at that at some point, so.
Well, she's probably gonna quit on us at some point too,
That's
so.
kind of why we've never
Well, she
updated the
said that,
contract.
she said
We're
that
afraid
how many years
we're afraid to
ago?
mention it.
Well, she was, I mean, thank God we still have her, cause she sat in on the hiring committee and, when you got supervisors battling it out, you got a former CEO sitting there, you know, it's,
So I'm going to have to build the region, or,
probably. Just like, cause we don't get reimbursed for it now, right, so,
we do,
we do,
We
so,
would.
yeah.
okay.
Cause I'll get the guidelines for the salary, because I was gonna go up, but she's gonna be over this time, she's gonna give me the heads up on her hours because of the several hiring committee and interviews and everything, and
so is there a motion to approve the quote for the new computer for social
So
services?
moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have for right now.
We need more break.
All right, we'll take a break till 11.
Ish.
Ish.
I said she could come earlier, just so that she was ready, so
Is
I
that
told her
it?
10:45.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Delaying me and all over here like an hour early.
Was
so-
need to let Nick know.
Yeah, well, he can hike over here pretty quick.
Let's see. Well, so Susie, tell us what's news?
What?
What's news?
What's news? Nothing.
You got nothing. Thanks, Suze.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's ask the Brumans, do you guys have a birthday week?
Yes, we do.
The whole week?
Do you really?
Every month.
No, I mean, each kid has their own birthday week.
Yeah. Yep.
That's, my son Austin, he always is called it birthday week.
Yeah. Special
He's
privileges.
26 and he's still, it's a birthday week, not a day.
So let's just say, for instance, your birthday's on a Friday, you start like on Sunday and you do something special every day?
Actually, I think they try to milk it until the next person's birthday.
We have a birthday.
So what do you do special then for every day? Give me an example.
Well, I don't know. It's like you're in an argument with one of your siblings. So like, just let me have it. It's my birthday. Like every day is it's my birthday. That's your reasoning for everything.
Let me win, it's my birthday week.
Birthday month, but
Wow.
yes, you got months.
I'm so glad my kids never heard of this one.
I know, right?
Wow. Birthday week. They know that they was your birthday.
Yeah, you should give Brahman a special privilege because it's her birthday month.
It is?
Yeah.
Wait, now we're going for the whole month?
Oh, yeah.
So wait a minute, so then you're 16 then?
Yep.
Did they pick you out a new car to drive?
Not yet.
Next week.
Right. Don't even know
I
what
remember
car.
having that argument, I go, be glad starts and stops.
Yeah.
So that works with the wind turbines, right? If it's a birthday month, you get your wind.
Yes, we're not putting any up this week.
Aw, thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Is it this week? Is this the birthday week?
Yours is Monday?
Birthday month.
Alright. All you gets kisses.
Alright, see, you just turned something nice creepy.
Well, I don't wanna give kisses to a minor.
Good thing.
You know, I can get in trouble there.
Right along with suddenly creepy.
She's not writing anything.
Yeah.
Can you put that in your report? I got kisses from John.
That's why I gave her a crackle. I didn't feel like she wanted dark chocolate.
Oh dear.
They want your candy.
I know, right? Whatever.
So, John, want to go with me to see Mr. Hoban?
Sure.
You won't return my call, so what do I do?
I'll call him and see if he's in town.
I'm just gonna tell
He
him.
shouldn't be doing anything today.
He's got an office there, and then one by the railroad tracks. Is it here, just be replaced?
Kenzo?
Kids in farm, he's in farm.
He'll answer. He'll answer my phone.
Really? Like, do you do business for him, or what?
Let's just try. Want to?
I called him 3 times.
Tell you what I mean.
As soon as we're done.
11:15.
If he's around.
Hey Doug, how are you? Oh, it's raining by you? Exactly. Hey, are you in town this morning? Cool, can you come up to our office around 11:15? The supervisors. It's after the meeting, so don't worry. We're not gonna hijack you. So, I just wanna go over some stuff with you. Yep, upstairs, yep. Yes, if you can do that. Alright, thanks. Perfect, thanks. I'm not working out for you, thanks, Susan.
Okay, plug your ears.
Did you find a date then, Jess, on that? The papers don't have a date,
Haven't
but they
drawn
have a date.
Maybe he doesn't know your number.
I left a
I
message.
knew all this number.
I told him what it was, what is it about?
Awkward.
Gotta be.
Do you want copies?
I don't.
It did ring like 3 times, so he didn't answer first ring.
No, it said 8 times before it was to his message.
Don't be bitter.
I probably have to sign that.
Wow.
Conflict of interest, yeah, I probably need that.
I'm sorry.
Maybe I should.
call him a lot or something?
Yeah.
You want to call him a lot?
Yeah.
Well, he's working on that now.
Do you, and you can have this.
I'm on the housing board in Millersburg, would that be
They
one?
went in here.
We love me.
So you wanna,
First I thought you were just messing with me, just pretending you're talking to somebody. You see, I think you do that.
I might, but that was too fun.
Well, I'm interested because I've been appointed.
I know.
You volunteered,
So
you never
do you
said
want,
no.
do you want me to
Maybe I
give you
should-
this stuff?
Yeah,
right
well,
now?
you want to keep a copy too?
Do you wanna fill it out
Ellie?
and just give it back to me and I'll keep it on
Tell
my
me
phone?
tell me your full
What?
name.
We can make copies.
Read
but-
out for it.
Yeah, okay.
So if you fill it out and bring it
Because
back.
John told me
I'll
something,
make
that I didn't even realize.
Okay,
Fine.
please
So
tell.
all the girls' names starts with.
All right.
All your children except for Matthew Isaac start with me on, right?
Exactly.
And Kevin's like, no, they don't. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
because you were Ellie.
yes. He's like, what about Ellie? Like, that is not her name. I said everybody but Matthew Isaac because he was the head. And he was kind of special that day.
Here, I thought I knew this. No, he's wrong. It's Ellie.
Yeah, once again, that was right.
Yeah, I heard.
Yep.
He's like, no, they don't. Yes, they do.
Yeah, sat across the hall with him, talking to him all the time.
You don't even know their names.
That's wrong again.
How can you kids when you don't know their names?
See, you just turned it creepy again.
Creepy, yeah. They go get
All right, maybe you girls have noticed there's a couple in this room you should stay away from.
One that wears nail polish.
Yeah.
It's a trend.
This is like an
I've
episode
got-
of Parks and Rec.
It's supposed to stay on 2 weeks, and I told him I'm gonna put a picture on every day for 2 weeks to document my nail polish.
I've been trying to, she changes like,
It's a sticker.
yeah, but she
Oh,
changes
it's just a
hers
sticker?
daily.
Yeah.
Oh, it's,
Yes.
it's,
I don't need her. Hate my name.
I've got all kinds of those at our house.
Color
Beautiful.
street,
Flirty
There you
girl.
that's the name of it.
Flirty girl.
Flirty girl lashes.
Lashes. There you go, see?
That's the magnetic things?
Yeah.
Well, sure, yeah. Yeah, so Shirley Hellrick's come out, she's like, they were out eyeliner, she found a Sharpie in her purse. Oh, like I'm drawing the line.
So
You just
she-
want to check it out, don't you?
Well, I've been seeing Carla's on
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah, she did
So
it
she
like,
had it then?
no, she just laid it on there and then pulled it off and it was like, this bright size, I don't know.
Nothing under eyelashes.
I don't know how it happened, it just did.
Okay.
So they get aisle products and stuff.
Isla's got,
Oh, yeah, we have those at home, I know that. So, don't be jealous of my nails.
Okay.
It's what happens when you get off a mental health break.
Yeah, well, not especially.
He's proud of that.
You have to be careful.
Well, she's gonna be at the Whitesburg Festival,
So you don't tear them.
or Fall Festival or whatever on the square.
We don't have this issues with
She's gonna have her booth set up.
I better not have these issues.
I think right outside Melinda's studio, so.
Really?
And I said, well, do you know where Melinda's dance studio is? She says, yeah, that's where we're staying up outside. I'm like, well, there you go.
And
For night out to work,
Is Jane
I think so.
mental health groups doing that?
No, not the mental health group.
What is it?
The girl with the nails.
Oh, There's some similarities, probably.
I didn't.
One day is camel.
I was just asking if Serena would be out there.
I just picked a Daisy might participate.
I'm sure I'll get them all up
Halloween candy.
Whatever it is.
When is that festival?
I don't know. That's the first I heard of it. I mean, I know
Which festival?
Island Square?
Night on the Square, Harvest.
22nd of November.
Is it
Oh,
called?
the November one.
Isn't there a fall one though too? Fall?
This is like the Friday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, where they always have that walk around.
It'll be like 5 to 8 p.m. or something probably.
Yeah.
It's been turning into a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it's nice.
I thought it was an actual fall one.
That's what that's the one she's talking about.
Cause I was just looking at something, cause I was interested. 'Cause
That's
the
Nick
vendors-
said, I know, cause my wife said I have to work at it. That's right.
And they go around the square to get the little thing, card punch.
Cause somebody was looking, somebody on the
front.
square, I think that on the square place was looking for vendors for.
On the
Yeah.
next Saturday, I think. Does that sound right?
I don't know, if I had my phone.
Cause I gotta work for Women Land and Legacy or something. Yeah. I was voluntold. Yes, Women Land, that's why I have nails done, cause I'm working for Women Land and Legacy.
I just want to see it. Yeah.
Let it go.
You guys do anything creepy while I was out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything we do is creepy at this stage of the
He's
game.
bragging about his fingernail.
I'm gonna go stand next to John Lundell, the mayor of Corville, cause I'm like his mini-me.
Is that some mother or daughter father time you get your nails done?
Not yet.
That's quite.
When that happens at the Brennan, I see Matt's nails done.
It's,
Um,
it's a
has,
friend.
it's been several years since we've painted his nails.
Oh, it has
Well,
been.
I think it should be a birthday week thing.
Yeah, it'd be a birthday week. Or in your case, birthday month.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, when you get a birthday month when you turn 16. How old are you?
Yeah, I'm 6.
16, I see. I'll call your dad. See what I can do.
Ethan gets birthday November.
Grayson shares his usually with Thanksgiving Day, so. Good news is he doesn't like cake, he does pumpkin pie for his birthday, yeah?
You put candles in it?
Do you?
Pasco has their pumpkin pies out now. In case you're
Huh?
wondering. Pasco has their pumpkin pies.
No, his mommy doesn't make it.
No.
They do that giant one is.
Yeah, it is huge.
It is.
I've never bought one.
It's cheap and it's like super good.
It is very good.
It's not very
I
expensive.
bet you guys don't get bought in baked goods, do you?
No, we usually bake them ourselves. Tastes best that way.
I stopped, this is, your mom doesn't remember, I stopped there a long time ago, she was baking something, cookies or something, they were phenomenal.
Mm.
So you remember that stuff? Long time. Well, that's in the feed store, I mean, you never took baked goods when you worked at the assessor's office.
Yeah. Poisonous.
That's
What do you mean your taxes went up? Here, have some chocolate fudge brownie.
Sometimes look like basement out.
So I was talking to Sherry the other day, but, and she said, so people are like, why is the environmental person not in the health department?
Cause there's no room for it there.
What if we move the other guy down to the building maintenance building? Share that building. And put her there,
Why would she be there?
because that's what most other counties have. Cause it's a health department, that's who takes all our phone calls when she's out. Cause they all go to the health department.
Removing who, where?
And we're not moving anybody anywhere, but Sherry Lutz, I mean, she's part of the health department. That's
We're down there.
Yeah, and move him down to our new building down there by transportation.
Of course, just put him where he's always at.
Well, I'm just saying that it would be a shared office then, and
Why are you looking at me?
because you're less creepy than Kevin, so. I mean, how awkward do you have it?
I'm not moving them.
Come on, Cameron, if I'm staring at
Okay,
Kevin.
that'll be your next job description.
You all are going to Hollywood, that's what.
We should have our own reality show.
So what's that good guy, Vern, what's his name, he passed away, so there is an opening there.
What is he talking?
Austin Powers?
Austin Powers.
Mini me, he passed away.
Spectacle soldiered all the people off the Wizard of Oz, but they haven't called me yet.
We're waiting for the remake. You're gonna be in for the mayor.
And I love lollipops, just so you know.
You're gonna be the mayor.
I'm gonna be the mayor? Sweet.
Can you sing in a high-pitched voice? And please, I guess that's you.
I can't believe you're asking me to say that.
That's a
You
great
probably
song.
don't have Michelle, don't, add those people.
I do not.
I'll see if I can find it. I want to send her a card.
Yeah.
I always enjoyed her.
She was good.
Last name,
Better write myself a note like that.
right?
What?
What a great last name.
Don't.
Is it D-H, right?
D-H-O-N-D-T. Don't.
Don't.
See, there was Jones and Adam, she was related to Jones and Adam County.
Yes. So true.
Isn't it good, is it the dope like that, they're like, the Hansons and Jacksons?
What was it?
Is he still alive?
Yeah.
What did he have?
I don't think he's still alive, is he? I think he
Well,
passed away.
Just his last name.
Well, several years ago. No, mother died.
Is it MS or what did he have?
Hey, he's at this winning nuts.
Or is it? Okay. I thought he did pass away.
No.
Is this supposed to keep raining or is
Till like next
Several days.
So tired of rain.
Wednesday, that would be like 4 or 5 days.
Hey, when you live in the Amazon, you gotta expect it.
Amazon.
Well, let's go to warming, it's gonna be cold.
That building is just a
Oh,
giant.
tropical.
Did you get moved, Bruce?
Well,
Oh,
move.
Pretty much.
Did you just
The
move?
heavy stuff, yeah.
Where are you sleeping at?
Could have been. New place.
Okay.
We've
I
been
can't
down
afford
there
to
since
fix
last
the
week.
bricks, I can't afford
We
to
still have so much boxes and other stuff to get out of the garage.
He
I think on
says
Sunday
that,
we're
right?
renting a truck and we have a furniture.
I finally
so
went to the
there's
doctor and got some.
Just a lot of other stuff.
I
We're
do,
trying to get out of it by Monday. so
Asthma and allergy medicine, cause I was having problems breathing.
Yeah.
Landlord,
Did you get your letter from the White
it's
House?
good.
And he the regular doctors, I finally started going back to Dr. Dunn, I like that.
Say, did you?
Okay,
get
we're ready.
your letter from the White House?
I was waiting, we were waiting for Nick,
There it is.
our engineer.
Yes,
He wanted to be here.
How are you doing?
good.
Oh, shit. You,
Okay, good morning.
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 I am Dixie Trout. I think I really you from Buckingham Hospital, but nice to see some of you. I don't make it to these meetings, almost never. Anyway, I'm here today to talk about the Amana Common Trail. and what we are intending to do to expand it. And I'll send these around. I'll send one on each side here, so you can take a look.
Thank you.
You bet.
Send that to me.
Oh, there's just,
This is like our vision statement.
There's more.
Pardon?
You have one for each of us, or no?
No.
I would be happy to provide them after the meeting. My
Okay.
contact person was not available, and unfortunately, they're not in my computer.
We'll give it
So
to
I
you.
have those copies.
we'll give it to you when we're done.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, yes, we'll be happy to provide copies to anybody. Jessica can just give me the emails or list of names, and I can even send them soft if you prefer that. Anyway, basically what I would like to talk about this morning is we are now ready to expand again. And we really appreciated working with you all. In 2009, that was the last time we did our major expanded leg. That was when Janine Newman was the Iowa County engineer. And so at that time, you have provided us a letter of endorsement, actually I think a resolution to support the trail. But no cash, we are not asking for cash at all from Iowa County. What we had done at that time was to get $7,000 in administrative assistance, because basically, for any grant that we might win, and I know we'll apply for way more than we'll win. Unfortunately, that's just the way that goes, but we would like very much to have the invoices paid then here coming back to the board should we win some funding to help support the trail. The other thing would be here, on all of the applications, it always requires that there be a very stable entity, which is in our case, the Iowa County Board of Supervisors, a group that's gonna be around for the next 20 years. And that would help, oversee, if need be, the trail. Now, we've had the original trail since the early 1990s, and we have done all the maintenance. I am the president of the 501c3 that does that, and we have a group of 11 members and lots of volunteers that help take care of the trail right now. So we would not anticipate that that would be ever needed, but that's what these require. So that is basically it. You can kind of see the thing here. So the next leg of our trail that we are proposing to build would actually start to reach out of Amana. And it is going to start in the main intersection there, down where the mill race is. That's where the one lane comes off onto 151, and go toward Homestead, not into the village, but would end at the top of the hill, Highway 6, there by where the nature trail is. So I think everybody's probably familiar
how
with
are you
that.
getting across the bridge?
Okay, that's a very good question. So the question about the bridge, there are two ways we could do it. We could use the existing roadways, but we have worked with Snyder and Associates, an architect who does lots of trails. And a lot of the money now is going and based on the new safety. Everyone is so afraid about road safety.
Right.
So that particular segment, they are recommending that we do a separate offside bridge. And they have actually quoted that into what we would ask for this leg. And the reason they would do that is then entire families could ride their bikes. And the thing that they fear the most, and what comes up a lot in these situations, is people trying to cross from one side of the road to the other.
Right.
And they just don't want to put any of us or the people using the trail in that type of situation. Plus, they think it would actually increase the amount of people that would come. And, the economic development to get Iowa County on the map and bring more people just to the county in general and start to reach the trail out through other parts of Iowa County, toward other counties even. This will bring entire families, versus just an occasional ride or that type of thing. So, other than the cost, there are lots more benefits to do an off-bridge.
And the state's okay with that?
The state is okay with that. They have approved other trails to do exactly that, yes. question.
So you're talking like $10 million.
Well, for this leg, it's actually $2,500,000 for this particular portion. What we are going to ask for
How
in
many
the
miles
next
is that?
grant, pardon?
How many miles, sorry?
It is it's 2.7 miles for Maine and Manitowoc Homestead for that part, and it would take 9.8 acres of land to do that.
And 2.5.
And how this usually works, like what we'd really like to have from you, we would need to have some sort of monetary commitment, but again, not out-of-pocket cash. But if, for example, I could work with Nick Amelon, before how our process worked, and Ray, you were here because you had helped us sort out a couple invoices toward the end and close out the project. I had worked very closely with Jeanine, and she would call me if she had any questions, but we also worked very closely with our architect, and Snyder, in this case, has said, you know, they will run interference on, they can vouch that the work is done, as well as our trail board will vouch that the work is done. If there's any trouble getting people to submit the invoices, they'll do that. If invoices go missing, they'll help with that. I personally would help with all of that. And it was very smooth before. And we really appreciate the county's support in that last endeavor. So at this time, what I would need is just, ideally, I would love to get a resolution that A, we support the trail, think it's great for Iowa County. We will support funding for administration. You can just leave it vague. I don't want to have to bother you a lot. I'd like to have a good piece of documentation that I could just submit with all of the different proposals. Because like I said, we aren't going to win most of them. But how this works is once you earn one, and this next one that we're getting ready to go for, what we really want to do is complete the design work in addition to what's already been done here, and fine-tune the project management, and then it will be, quote, what they call in their vernacular, shovel-ready. And shovel-ready projects get a lot more consideration and support by the bigger money. And then once we would get a significant grant, then some of the smaller grants will come in and we can use the dollars to match off of each other to get the full funding.
What do you call a significant grant?
Oh, a bigger, you know, another multi-million grant, maybe a $5 million grant. But we know we can't get it all at once. So that's why we're phasing it. We're calling this our phase one. And if we get the homestead phase one under our belt, then the activity in the county will breed more interest and more activity. And another thing that we've really got going for us from both the Lynn County and Johnson County areas is they are actively building trails. We've had meetings with both of these groups, and they would very much like to connect through our trail, which is kind of like right in the middle. And so we really need to be active here also. And I think it could really benefit Iowa County. Because getting to Highway 6, we can come either westward toward Murrayville and Williamsburg and connect up there, or we can go eastward to Johnson County.
Well, that's your plan, right, is to go to Oxford, to hook onto Johnson?
I think that would make a lot of sense, and for safety-wise and everything else, since they're also part of the school district of the Clear Creek Amana School District, any bike traffic there. But a lot of traffic comes from the Iowa City Coralville area just because of all the connected activities through the school district especially.
How do you get right-of-way easements across private property?
Okay, well, we're very fortunate in this case for the land, which is always a major cost consideration that the Amana Society has donated an in-kind donation for the easement. And it's around just a little over $29,000 at the current value of land. And so they will do that, as they have for the rest of the trail. And we have been so fortunate that the Amana Society, and that's through several different years of different board members, but it's a very helpful activity. It's great for Iowa County residents. It's great for visitors. It's just a good, healthy activity.
But
and
you
yes,
still didn't answer my question.
I'm sorry.
How do you get across private property? as soon as you turn east, you're getting out of the man land.
Well, this particular segment, we don't have to address that. The Amana land would end right up about the edge of Homestead there where the bins are and the
Right.
timberland, exactly. And so what we will do at that time, should that be the next area that we go, is we're working very closely with the Johnson County, people on their board. They're right now, trying to get to the Kent Park area. And so they will go see, I forget exactly where that is, and I should remember exactly where that crosses Highway 6, but it begins to be Johnson County there, Oxford's actually in Johnson County, of
Yes.
course. And then we're Iowa County.
But Kent Park's several miles from Iowa County.
It is, yes, it is. Yeah, the Iowa County thing, I wanna say that old back road into Oxford is very close to where the boundary is, but I can't say exactly where it is. And we would have to support the cost of private land, obviously, to get to the edge of Iowa County. But Johnson County has quite a distance out on Highway 6 too, and they would of course do that through their grants. Did that answer your question? I'm sorry. No? Okay.
You wanna go across my property in front of my house. Example being, and I say no.
Well, then I guess we'd have to look at both sides of the road and see if it's a different property owner, and the trail might have to cross the road like it does now on 220th Trail. Right now, we're just focused on getting to Homestead, so we have not explored where we would have to do the private property yet.
I guess my bigger hangup is the administrative cost. You're saying, well, not right now, but we would have to say, and we don't have to say how much, but
I don't wanna be an official agent.
once you say that, then we're on the hook.
Well, there are two ways to do that, yes. We could do it on a per grant basis. I could work with Nick, and every time we get ready to submit for a grant, you could look at each one on a case-by-case basis, so that you know that you're not gonna, but the way these go, like this grant money, for example, won't even be available until like next year, and so construction's a further out. They're always kind of way far out in the distance. They do overlap a little bit, but the costs spread out. And it's not hard dollar costs per se. I mean, it's an opportunity cost, I guess, for somebody's time. Because what happens at the county level is all of the bills would flow through here. So, you know, and they don't come in that often. I mean, you might get like an asphalt bill coming through, or, you know, on a contract, you know, as the earned value progresses, there will be a schedule of payments, you know, that's in the agreement with our different vendors, and, you know, but I mean, it's not like a big dump of work all at once. It would be, you know, across time as bills become due.
We would have to upfront the money and then be reimbursed, right?
I don't remember how that worked exactly. It might be a reimbursement thing. I
Easy
think
cost.
most of them are.
Easy cost is you have to pay for it from, you get 80% of it back.
And my other question is, according to your chart here, a lot of these grants are only available if you apply through the Mancounty Land Use District, then why wouldn't they be the fiscal agent?
They won't allow us to go through Appalachia. We have tried that before. Number one, they have not been around as long as Iowa County. And Iowa County will probably be here forever. Appalachia is not seen as the state.
On here, it says that these grants, these several grants are only available if applying with the Mancounty's Land Use District.
Well, what we do with them is they would be like our number 2 agent, because of course, they would have to be kept abreast of the plans. Everything on Amana land has to go through the land use. You have to get a building permit. That's true with anything. And so they have to be involved, that is true. But they cannot be the primary applicant agency, is what we have been told. But they will be on there. We would list them as a number 2 agency.
EasyCog says you guys can apply now. EasyCog says you can apply for the grants now through just the ACLU can.
Well, if we can, that would be extremely easy, because I'm sure they would support us. That is not my understanding.
I was at a meeting yesterday, and then we sat down, and she told me one-on-one on that.
Who is she?
Mary Rush.
I know.
Mary.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
Oh, very
Know
well.
what this says too.
I'm familiar with it.
Can't make the name out.
Well, I do have a meeting with Mary on October 9th,
She said since the state recognized it for the hotel motel, the DOT is gonna recognize it now for the grants. That's from Mary Rose's mouth.
Is it possible for me to get some contact information for Mary or somebody that could?
Nick's gonna meet with her next week. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I don't have it on this phone.
Right.
Just give me a minute, 15 minutes to find it.
Okay, and so then that would mean that the paperwork would flow through Ackley.
Not through us.
Interesting.
I mean, we just found this out, and then of course, Ackley would have to upfront the money and be reimbursed.
Yeah, and see, they don't even collect money, they're not even a phone collecting agency.
Okay, so I got,
Yeah, they do.
Easy Calc is 319-365-9941. I don't know the extension, sorry.
Ackwood has money.
Yeah, I think it was very good limited.
That's okay, but that's where Mary is.
Yep.
Easy Con.
Yep.
Oh, my
They'll give you like one of those automated deals and you punch part of her name in to get that, her directory number.
Okay, sounds good, sounds fun.
But that's what she told me yesterday.
Straightened out.
Okay.
I do not want to be the fiscal agent, in my opinion.
Because of the have to upfront the money?
Upfront the money and all the extra bookkeeping records.
Well, the thing that bothers me is being on the hook for the unknown numbers,
I think we did that, I don't know if there's some kind of issue the last time, didn't we?
because
Or that was you more of your, sorry.
The only issue that I remember last time was we had a very late, large-sized bill come in that was unexpected. But our trail ended up paying the entire bill, which as I recall was about $40,000. And everyone, including, I remember Ray and Janine, were shocked that it came in that late. And I don't know how it got missed on the list, but it did. But we covered the cost. I mean, the trail's nonprofit, but we do, do fundraising events on a regular basis and bringing money to maintain the trail. And we have a huge staff of volunteers that takes care of that.
how much money does the trail have now?
It would be over 50,000, I think, or about 50,000. We're just on the borderline of that email tax filing group. Now, if we do a major expansion fundraiser, then we do the long form for taxes, but we're still 501c3. Okay, so you guys don't wanna do it. How about if just we could use you this one time, if I don't get this worked out, we really wanna apply for a grant next week. I don't know if we'll win it, we probably won't, but we just need to get out there and get some feedback on our applications.
The grant that you're applying for, does it require a match?
It requires, I think, a 10% match, if I remember correctly.
10% match.
Yeah, and
And do you know, and do you know how much money they're giving out?
yes.
What are you applying for?
It's the FERC grant. The official name of it is,
State Recreational Trails
yes,
Program.
State Recreational Trails Program.
How much are you,
Funding program.
how much are you guys applying for in it?
We are going to ask for 300,000 for that part. So that would make the Humane Society donation about a 10% match. There is a clause in there, that says they really like the applicant agency, to do a signed resolution of support. And that's where I was hoping you could just mention, the funding.
This
part,
says state
which would be
recreational
cash.
trails is 25% match.
Well, either way, my question is, what are you gonna, so 300, they're gonna give out 1.3 million, and it looks like they will give out, There were 39 applicants, 5 got chosen, and they give out anywhere from 1 to 360,000. So 300,000 is an okay number to ask for. What are you gonna do with 300,000? Like your
Yeah,
project
I
is
mean, you just said-
2.5. Like you're not,
Well,
like you can't go, even if you wanted to do an easier stretch from meeting with Johnson County to Homestead. And look, I'm all for the trails. I would love the trails. I just don't know what you're gonna do with it. You, like, you kinda gotta have,
You don't get to just put it in the bank, do you?
yeah,
I don't think so. You gotta have,
Spend it.
you gotta spend it.
amount of time.
Yeah, you have to do, there's a deadline, I think it's a 2-year.
When are you applying for the bridge?
Pardon?
When are you applying for the bridge?
What's in that?
That would
phase?
probably be the next phase 2 or phase 3, yeah. Yeah, the next phase, it depends on the size of the grants, but if it's enough money just to get to the river. The next one, they
What do you
really
do with
like to
people?
do the bridge though and get over the river. Our architect would. But then what typically happens with these is that we would go ahead and apply for a next grant and a next grant, and once we win one grant, then we can use that to help also be part of the match for the next grant. They build on each other.
sorry.
They're cumulative.
And so if Aiklu can sign the on right now, according to you, right?
Or Mary.
Then you can just have them do it right now and you can apply.
Yeah, I don't know about what, I don't know.
That's what Mary says.
Yeah.
You don't need anybody.
Again, I'm all for it. Out of 39 applicants last year, I don't think they're gonna fund from here to here with no trails connecting anywhere. You know what I mean? It's just a trail out by itself in the middle of nowhere. Not when you look at some of these people that did win it. Those are the nice, Lake Belvedere, around the park, here around the park. You know, if you wanted to propose that you meet with Johnson County and go to Homestead, that may have a better chance. All I'm saying is like, with the RTAP money, I know that they take into account very dearly that you are connecting trails to other systems.
We would be connecting up toward where the nature trail is. Now, that's not a biking trail, it could be a biking trail, it's an off-road trail. But it is moving toward these areas. And another thing, some of these groups have told me in the past, they are interested in getting some more of the funding out into the rural areas, not just the metro areas. And since we already have a vital trail started in the rural area, they have all encouraged us to apply. So again, we would just like to take our shot and see how we do and get some feedback. And like I said, we're gonna get a lot of declines. But we have to start somewhere, you know. And so that's why I was looking, at least for this one next week. It might be a little quick to get to Ackley. I know that their administrators in the process of resigning and they're interviewing for a new.
No, they got a new one now.
Did they just get one? Okay, I had not heard that.
She has started.
Okay, what's her name?
Karen Kurt.
Okay. Well, a board member just told me yesterday to work through the former person, so that's what I did, so they must have just hired her.
Well, she started the 1st of September. Well, then, I don't know what her official date was, but it was real close.
Karen Kurt, okay. Well, I know they're not gonna have any upfront money. I mean, they are not a repository of money, so, yeah. So we likely won't be able to apply for that grant today if we wouldn't give you guys the support, but,
So if they don't have the money now, how do they plan on paying for the 2.5 million, or at least the match of it?
I don't think they do.
You mean for the trail?
Does Ackley ever plan?
Yeah, like you say it wouldn't cost the county any money, like out of pocket. But
Well,
it's-
you were saying that you recalled before from the process that Iowa County had to pay some of the invoices that came in and then the reimbursement
But
comes
I'm
later.
just
They wouldn't
asking,
have that
like,
up
where's
to
the
cash.
reimbursement gonna come from? It could be millions of dollars, and if that food only has 50,000,
No, my trail's got 50. I have no idea how much it has. I was talking to Trail Board.
so.
But I don't
We've
think we
got
can front
money,
$2
but
million.
we don't have $2 million. We wouldn't be a nonprofit organization.
We can't front $2 million either.
No.
Right.
But it wouldn't come to that. But I'm saying they don't have any money to fund a
I know.
$1,500 invoice that would come to them to begin with. You know, somehow we would probably, the trail have to fund that. I mean, I'm just gonna have to check this out with Mary Roman and Karen Kurt and get to the facts of all that, because I don't know if they deeply thought about that, the way these things pay back, if that's the case. I mean, if we get reimbursed first and then pay, that would not be a problem. But
Right.
I don't know that that is how
No,
it
they
works.
don't.
I doubt it.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why they
That's why they
always-
want a stable government agency in charge.
That's
So they
exactly
can get the
right.
bills paid.
And I bet we're still gonna hear that from some of these
I'm
organizations.
sure you will, but
Yeah.
I mean, if the DOT's recognizing them and, I mean,
We need to figure that out, too. I don't
Yeah.
know how that happened.
Yeah, that won't even just be for funding for us, that could be funding for anything that's
Right.
a grant, yeah. So, well, how would you feel about if I just put you, I don't know, I don't think they'll probably even let us apply for this particular grant if we didn't have a letter of endorsement, but,
What does the board want to do? Anything?
I think I hate to say this, I'm not a downer, but I doubt that we want it, you know, I just doubt that we do because of what Nick said. But the input would be invaluable, and then in the meantime, I could go
I
check
know,
some
but
of
if
these out.
you take a chance and you do,
Then you guys would have to pay the bills.
that's kind of a big
That would be
chance.
the worst
that,
case
hey, by the
scenario.
way, taxpayers here, you're on the hook.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
But you would get the money back, though, I don't think you'll have any out of pocket, that is not my understanding, I mean,
Everything's gotta match. Most
Yeah,
everything
different
has
where
to
the
match.
match is coming from.
yeah.
Which means even if they pay 80% and you only pay 20% of $2.5 million is still, you know, a lot of money, 50 grand or whatever.
Well,
50 grand that somebody has to pay.
And before, we were able to come up with that in the
500,000?
colonies, we paid the match. On the 2009 one, we had to come up with, it was between $40,000 and $50,000.
Yeah, but you don't, I mean, you don't have that now I mean.
Well, we've got almost 50, and we would run a campaign in the mail like we did before.
So you would need to raise it, you would need to raise like $500,000, and that's with a 20%.
But not, but over time, I mean, we're not gonna build this all in a year. This is like a phased-in thing over multiple years, and you can do multiple fundraisings over multiple years. This is just to get us to the phase one.
Right. I don't know, it's too quick a turnaround for me. You know, you want to answer today on committing, when we don't have enough answers for.
Did somebody write up the grant yet? Do you have a copy of what they wrote?
It's being finalized, Snyder's going to review it, the final one, but yeah, we've got a lot of the text done.
Are they
You know,
charging?
if they could see a copy of the grant, that would at least help them. That way they're not signing a blank
What are they
check.
charging you to write the grant?
Nothing, because basically our trail group is writing it. I've done the major portion of the writing. But they will review it, because I want to make sure all of the design estimates, the fees, the schedule, that they would agree with all of that, because they would be doing work for us. Yeah, we try to get as much work as we possibly can through a lot of volunteer hours.
Sure.
And I guess I'm the one at the top of that list. So, yeah.
So what's the board want to take action at this time? You want to wait till next? I mean, like,
Well, it has to be submitted sometime on October 1 by close of
Yeah,
business.
all right.
That's Tuesday, this particular.
Right.
grant. Mhm.
how those other meeting charts out, see if
Yeah.
possible.
We gotta have more.
That would be getting.
That would be kind of a key factor too.
Cause that's,
I'm sorry, what meeting is that, you mean like with?
No, with Nick meeting with Mary Rum.
Nick, yeah,
And I'm sure.
Oh,
there's-
Nick's meeting with Mary Rum.
yeah.
And there'll be some follow-up. We've got some questions with that whole thing. right?
yeah, we gotta have more answers on that too.
Yeah, whatever you want.
That's what we like to hear, Nick.
And if you only meant it.
So, we are gonna pave my roadway.
Yeah.
So you're gonna meet with Mary and find out what?
I don't know, whatever she wants to talk about.
Oh, okay, you have a regular meeting.
You're meeting with her anyway.
No, she just wanted to, she wanted to get together to find out what the counties, which we've all submitted, county plans and trails and everything, 5, 6 years ago. She wanted to get together to meet, with some of the representatives from Iowa County, just to find out what the future might look like around here.
For trails?
Yes, I should say.
And what
Kind
time
of
is
an
that
action
meeting? Or are other people invited to that? What day is that meeting?
I mean,
No.
I don't wanna.
No,
okay, I
it's
agree.
me, her, Matt, and Chris, so,
Chris Anderson?
yeah, I don't believe it's an open public meeting. What does that mean, you're gonna call Chris and ask if he can come now? Yeah,
Yeah, what day is it?
I don't know,
Okay, I'll check with them. I'll find
October.
out. All right, well, I really appreciate meeting all of you, and we may meet again before this is
I'm
over.
sure we will.
And thank you for your consideration. If I
Thank you.
can ever help provide any information or updates from you all, please just reach out to me.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we do need to take action on the motion, not to.
It's been seconded.
This time, yeah, he didn't.
Yeah.
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Yeah, we just don't have enough information.
No,
You can't.
Better change your purse.
My phone. Oh, my phone, that's the most important thing that's in there. Thank you.
Alright.
no, yeah, you don't have enough info yet. You write a recommendation like that, they submit a grant, and in the grant, they say that they're gonna do a $2.5 million section of the trail, and they get awarded $300,000, they're on hook for the other $2.2 million.
Right?
That'd be a little.
Or,
I don't think so.
plus we're on the.
But they're gonna get reimbursed.
Or we're on.
They're gonna do a big fundraising.
And I don't really, like, I'm trying to figure out how, if they don't have enough money to write a $15,000 check, how are they gonna get enough money to reimburse for like
You
$500,000?
just call me when you get the grant to get across the Iowa.
And we,
When you get that bridge in,
we can't put our road funds at risk.
No.
We can't put $1 million of our road funds at risk.
And their income.
Upfronting money.
Is their land.
Right. Well, then there's a lot of issues, which I hope that they can overcome, because I really would,
I know.
Johnson County's coming to that county line. I
Yeah.
would like to go to the Homestead and then down and up through Cedar Rapids. I think that'd be great.
I do too.
There's, to build $1 million bridge,
We just get
but then what are you gonna do through here? This is all floodplain,
I
all of
know.
it. I don't know what their plan is.
And what,
I don't know
yeah,
the last of floodplain.
those bikes that have those big wheels.
Well, you're the floodplain manager, you should know.
But you just,
That's not funny, it's serious.
yeah, you need to at least see the grant in front of you
Well,
before you take action on it.
But it just comes down to if some of those grants are applied through ACLU, why would we get involved?
and I know
We're
that
we're not part of that then.
Yeah.
The whole fiscal agent thing, there's work to that for one thing.
I don't think so.
And there is risk of that with delays of getting paid, and
It puts us on the hook.
we can't upfront a bunch of money. Well, it's not like we have an endless supply of money either. Do we?
Well, the engineer's office, we just have more.
I thought you kept.
You'd start mining for diamonds, we would be okay.
And they can get you to getting that.
Wow.
So,
It's like it's over 10.
And I don't know how involved you want to be in all this.
Oh, I don't care.
I mean, Janine, Janine got pretty involved, but
I've went to some of their
She had
meetings
nothing
over
else to
there in Amana, some of that RTAP stuff.
Yeah.
The RTAP thing, like I don't know if I'm invited back really, cause I gave a stink that one time about how they gave out money for the next 4 years and, you know, I said, bullshit, like, fine, tag us, give me all the money in year 5 then.
Right.
And I think Johnson County disagreed, but.
No.
No way.
they've never done that to us.
So I mean, I would like, but the way I would, and if they can get a grant for 5 million to cover that and make it work,
Right.
more power to them.
Absolutely.
But I would probably do it different. I see it working a little bit different.
I see
but
hanging a bridge on the bridge that goes
Exactly.
over the Iowa River is
Yeah.
a huge expense and a liability.
No, building a new one. That he didn't mention hanging. Should we
No,
build
this-
a new one?
This showed a different one.
And then are you just gonna add on?
Maybe you
big
can put a
shoulder?
bike on a zip line.
Well, then how you gonna get down that hill too? That you're gonna have to lean back and
That's
forth?
on the zip line, then.
Once you cross the river, you grab a life vest and
Not to
spray.
mention,
Make sure you
traffic
cross.
is really fast on that highway, I mean.
Nick, who would maintain it after?
That's the
If it
problem.
was
No,
done, because
there-
it has to be maintained to federal standards, if
There-
you get a federal.
Their trails committee you'd make some sort of agreement with them.
But
right?
we're still on the hook, if you listen to what she said, she
Yeah,
said,
right.
we're still on the hook.
Ultimately, it would be us that would be
If
responsible.
something goes.
They do have a trails committee right now that
That's
does
a big
maintain.
expense.
And I'm here to tell you, they put that
Right.
trail through the swamp, and then it floods 2 or 3 times, and there's gonna be debris
You
that's
would
gonna have to be removed.
You would have to connect it to the road, wouldn't you?
I would think
I
so.
don't know, that's kinda dangerous.
And now you're filling in the floodplain too.
On a
which
state highway.
The floodplain manager may not be too
You
impressed.
gotta go through the Corps of Engineers when they're
Well,
not gonna do that.
I've heard he's easy to be bought.
Yeah, so I don't know.
And I
It's
also
me.
agree with Kevin on the private property, because when those trails go through private property, there's a liability there. So
Oh,
even
yeah.
if the person,
She kept dodging that.
yeah,
No, there-
there's a liability. If the pickerhead's going across the trail and a bicycle hits it, that farmer is responsible.
Well, yeah, the trail committee would buy the right of way.
If they want to sell it, most
Yeah,
people
but-
want to sell it for their
They'll
house.
get condemned,
For a bike trail?
Yes.
probably.
I didn't think you could do eminent domain for that.
Maybe you can't, I don't know.
I'm
You
pretty sure
could.
we've stated our opinion of eminent domain already.
Yeah, we're not big
We're
fans.
not doing
They used to be able to do it, Kevin, but
I know
I
that.
understand there's been a state law passed since
Right,
then.
I thought they tightened that up so you can't.
That they can't, no, that
Unless
they
you're
no longer
legal.
condemn. But if it's an abandoned railroad right of way, all bets are off.
Somehow they keep getting their own laws passed and annoying.
Which is true.
There are
So-
a lot of sticky wickets with this thing. I did
And
this.
then
I love a good sticky wicket.
To go from there and turn east to Marengo down Highway 6, why would you not connect over to the Johnson County Trail 2 miles
it.
away?
It would make more sense to connect to where there is something. You know,
Yes, would go out
they plan to connect to Williamsburg.
east of Mana.
Williamsburg's got no trail.
Are they still doing the east of Mana section there?
I think that's just a.
The,
Well, yeah, so, did we
I
get
think-
everything done?
yeah. It's about 8 years or so, I think, before Johnson County gets to the county line, is that right? 5 to 8 years?
I don't see why the draw with Johnson County come to Iowa County if you don't have a trail to connect to.
They all drink beer?
What they're assuming that they will build. But
We're hoping they're good Germans.
remember Washington County assumed we would pave that part of the L road too?
Oktoberfest.
Exactly.
Twice
So-
they've paved theirs.
Once they connect to the county line, you can probably get RTAP funding to go to Homestead, but somebody's gotta make a match. That'll
That's
probably be $1 million.
There's a lot, I mean, you're going through the landfill?
And that's just it, $1 million
Trucks
is
in
a
front of
lot.
trucks all the time?
There's there, the landfill's there, there's a cemetery on that side, so,
Junkyard,
yeah.
salvage yard, sorry.
Anything's possible.
No, you probably go on the south side of.
I know most of those people are out selling. Pretty sure William Dave's not selling.
Go down 190th, go down the road.
He's on the north side, isn't he?
Yeah.
We could pave half the road, call it a bike trail.
After you get our wills paid for our house, you can think about that.
Did you make a motion yet?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. We're done with you.
All right, excellent.
Favor, signify by
See you next
saying
week.
aye.
You just want to get it wrong?
Yeah.
RUMP.
RUMP, and then who's Matt?
Matt's the assistant engineer.
Oh, okay, thank you.
He's the brain.
Okay.
Hey, don't charge me anything.
Oh, I'm telling you, you're going to Hollywood, John.
Hey,